Hello!
And welcome back to Books and Crannies.
A book lovers podcast.
I'm Danielle.
I am Sarah.
Heck yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am.
And you know what, y'all? We're back at it again once
sure
more.
are.
Here again. And we're talking about the ending of Act War.
Friggin' chapter 64?
Yeah, girl.
Through the end.
Yes,
82.
girl. And this section is a freaking journey.
I'm so excited.
And it's so good.
So good.
I texted Sarah like, oh my god, I forgot that this was so amazing.
So
Because it's
good.
so good. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
So we should dive right in.
We should.
As we all know, these are lengthy episodes.
Yes.
And we don't need to lengthen them anymore as I keep talking.
Yeah. So
grab a snack.
grab a snack and a drink.
And
and
blanket.
your favorite blanket. And let's get into it.
Get cozy or else. Or don't. I don't know. You have shit to do probably.
I mean,
Anyway.
clean your kitchen.
Clean your kitchen while you listen. We're your motivator right now.
Yep.
This is your sign to clean your kitchen.
Do it or else.
But last episode, we left on a cliffhanger.
We did, of course. We're really good at that.
I know. Unintentionally good at cliffhanging, y'all.
Yeah.
Elaine was captured or taken
She disappeared.
in the dead of the night.
I don't even think she was taken. I think she just walked off on her own. She did, actually, for sure, walk off on her own.
Well, she walked off on her own, but then her jacket was gone. So I imagine, and I don't know, maybe it didn't explicitly say, so we could just ponder over this for hours. But I imagine she was lured by the cauldron to the edge of the camp where the wards end.
Yeah.
And then, snatched. Disappeared that way.
Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
Because I very specifically remember, I think, Jurian telling Feyre later, not way later, I guess, when she goes to rescue her, that the king was surprised to find her by the cauldron.
Yeah, but how would she have made it all the way to the King Hybern's camp? So the cauldron kidnapped her, is what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought you meant, the king snatched her.
No. KH doesn't have time for that.
True.
The cauldron...
he's got time for only that. Come on.
I feel like the cauldron... It said it took something vital from Nesta. So the cauldron, personally, has some sort of conscience. It has a vendetta, and that's why it came.
Yeah.
And it has to have enough magic to make her teleport. Or win
I would
away,
imagine,
I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what I imagine.
Why did it take her jacket from her? Let her...
Just left it there.
Why she gotta be cold?
Yeah. Did she take it off, and why?
Maybe she got real hot.
Well, she thought it was Grayson she was going to.
It's true.
So she's like,
hey.
Maybe I'll convince him with my body. Even though he's a
because that's all we women are good for.
Obviously. But anyhow, that's where we left last episode. You and your water bottle. We're not even talking about this episode's content. So Nesta's frazzled. She's upset. Everyone's pissed.
Yeah.
1, because, rude.
I mean, yeah.
2, mostly rude.
Elaine is like Nesta's little baby.
Yeah, she's the sweet, delicate flower that everyone is so concerned for.
She sure is.
At all times.
Yep.
And Nesta especially.
Yeah.
Nesta's
way overly protective of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rhys says something along the lines of, he took something of ours, and we need to do something about it.
Yeah, I think it said he said something about, Nesta took something from the cauldron, and so last episode Nesta had, done some scrying to find out where the cauldron was, and the cauldron, saw her looking for it. So Nesta took something from the cauldron when she was made, and so when she found the cauldron, it, saw her and saw how important Elaine was to her, so it took Elaine.
Yeah. Yeah. Took something vital from Nesta.
Yeah.
And then Az is like, I'm going to get her.
I'm going.
I'm doing it.
Because I love her.
Yeah, he does.
I'm convinced.
For sure. I mean, it's only solidified more throughout the section, I think.
Yeah.
They have something afoot. Even though he's also very much pining after more. So,
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. But Az says, I'm going. Mm-hmm. And someone's like, you're going to die. I don't remember who. And he's like, I'm still going.
Yeah.
And then Feyre's like, well, you know what? I'm going with you.
Yep.
Fool. And
you ain't going by yourself.
Yeah. And they're like, how in the world? And she's like, I'm going to walk right in.
Mm-hmm. And
freaking shapeshifts herself into none other than
freaking Yanthy.
Freaking Yanthi.
Freaking Yanthi.
Do you think she feels like real gross doing that? She's like,
I mean,
I don't want to
probably.
look like Yanthi.
I would.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then she has to, like, Az, I think, steals something, like robes from a priestess on the camp.
I don't know if he has
her.
to steal them, but
Or
yeah,
maybe
he
he
gets
just borrows
her.
them, I
He
don't
gets
know.
her stuff, but he also gives her one of his siphons.
Yeah.
To be made into a head circlet.
Yep.
And the metalsmith, he's like, you got blacksmith? That's the
Yeah.
word. He's like, you got it. Whips it up real quick.
Yep.
So she's got a relatively convincing costume.
Yeah, and
going
she's
in.
like, it's not perfect, but it's dark. No one will notice.
It's fine.
And I think she says, like, no one will look too close at me because of who I am.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I wouldn't want to be too close to Yanthi.
I
either.
certainly wouldn't be looking
This
at her for long
friggin-
periods.
Yeah,
Disgusting
she's the
little
worst. Little hoe is a good description.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, if you don't remember, Yanthi got eaten last episode
Yeah.
by the Weaver. So
By the
she's no
Weaver.
longer. There's no worry of, like, the real Yanthi coming, because she's dead.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Yeah. Do you think that Pharaoh would risk shapeshifting into her if Yanthi was not dead?
I don't think that Feyre knew Yanthi was as far up the KH's ass as she thought. Or, I don't know.
That did not answer my question.
What I'm trying to say is I don't know if Feyre assumed that she was, like, close enough to the king to be in his presence often. So she might have risked it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sense. Yeah.
Like, I don't think she assumed Yanthi was her right hand. Because when they encountered each other, she was like, oh,
yeah.
you have ash arrows and other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
And it would have ended
Also,
completely differently.
Pharaoh's kind of dumb.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
she's gotten better, but she's still
a little bit
kind of dumb.
A little bit, yeah. She makes some questionable decisions.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, her and Az winnow the heck on out of there. Actually, you know what? Reese bids her a farewell first.
Does
And it's very cute. Do you want to hear about it?
Is it on page 565?
It sure is.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
I love Pharaoh and Reese.
Me too. They're just golden.
They're the best.
But he comes up to her, grips the sides of her face, and he says, do not get distracted. Do not linger. You are a warrior, and warriors know when to pick their fights. I nodded, our breath mingling. Reese growled, they took what is ours, and we do not allow those crimes to go unpunished. His power rippled and swirled around me. You do not fear, you do not falter, you do not yield. You go in, you get her, and you come out again. I nodded again, holding his stare. Remember that you are a wolf and cannot be caged. Yes. Instead of being like, no, you can't go, you delicate woman.
He's empowering her.
Hell yeah, he is.
Because he should.
Good old Daddy Reese. I know.
I
love him. But then they Wizzo. I think I was looking at my note of Az and took the Z. Well, it does say Faye and Az winnow. So I just, anyway, combined them.
They fizzo.
They Wizzo. It's developing further. Favorite as winnow.
Yeah, I had
Fizzo.
to combine all of them. Like fizzo.
But anyhow, they
They
winnow to, like, the outskirts of the war camp.
Yep. they
And
do.
there's a shit ton of warriors.
Yeah.
Or army, whatever.
Yeah.
There's lots.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favor's like,
We definitely can't kill them
there's
all.
no way.
There's no way. They
There's
outnumber
so
us
many of them.
by a ton.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
No, that would be very intimidating. And she's supposed to just be sauntering on in, which she does do.
She does. And Asriel just becomes her shadow.
I love that.
I do too.
Also, how? I
I
know he's a shadow singer.
I mean, Danielle.
It's in the name.
He's a shadow.
He is
singer.
a shadow, and he sings to them.
So does he just become Feyre's shadow, and as they walk, he's like,
Absolutely, which is not at all suspicious.
No.
Or weird. Or do his shadows sing to him? Because his shadows are spies for him.
Yeah.
We know that. So his shadows, instead of relaying information like casually, they come in and they're like, "Hey, Asriel,
this is what happened."
It's got to be it. Also, I heard someone pronounce his name Asriel.
Ew.
Yeah, what's that
I don't
about?
like that.
Relax.
Apparently, Reese's name is Resand.
Oh, yeah,
not
no.
Resand.
No.
It's no.
No.
That's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. As is Azriel.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. Cassian.
Somebody also said Cation for Cassian. Not it. That's not it.
Okay, then I'm gonna start calling Lucian.
Luckian. Anyways, I diverge.
Anywho.
So they get there, and Feyre's like, I'm just gonna do it.
Yep.
And she starts sauntering through the camp. She makes it past the gate or whatever,
Or something. Yeah.
and none of them really pay her any mind.
Yeah, no one cares about Yanthy.
No, they're
Very
all just
clearly.
but they know who
Everyone's
she
like,
is.
This girl.
They know her enough to be like, yeah, go ahead, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't say a word to her. Just let her on in. And she says she becomes Yanthy. She becomes peering and coy, vain and predatory, holy and sensual.
Mm-hmm.
And I just liked those three contradictory. It's like dichotomy pairing words. I'm like, yeah.
I love it.
She gets through.
They do.
Yeah.
And they start working their way towards the king's tent.
I know. And
which
as
is huge
in
and
the middle,
very far away.
I imagine just a circus tent.
That's exactly what I imagine.
Yeah, he has to be that over the top.
Yeah.
It's just opulent.
Look at me.
I am the king.
I am
Paul.
the news.
Paul Hybern.
Right, Paul. I forgot.
Or Mark.
Mark.
Either one.
Chad.
Chad's better.
He gives
I like
Chad
that.
energy
Yeah,
for sure.
But the king's tent, they're on their way.
Yeah.
I think Az is also shadowing around trying to find the cauldron because they need to find that too.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Or maybe he's just looking for Elaine.
I think, yeah. I don't think
Either
he's
way.
looking for the cauldron.
He's scoping
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
And
they start hearing
screaming. In the midst of this chaotic, hedonistic, animalistic war camp.
Yeah.
The Hybern army is hot mess.
They're
a lot.
Lots of testosterone flowing around.
Definitely a big dick energy.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Small dick energy, actually.
You're right. But yeah, screaming.
Yeah.
Screaming. And she's like, oh, geez, what if that's Elaine?
Who could it be?
Not Elaine.
It's not Elaine.
No.
It's there's a children of the blessed.
There's a child
of the blessed.
There's a
child of the blessed. A children.
Yeah, there's a children. Just one, though. Tied up.
And it's very much like Feyre explains it, reminds her of Claire and what was done to Claire. They're torturing this person.
Well, there's many children hung up, and most of them are dead, except for her, I think. And she's just screaming, blood curdlingly. Mm-hmm. And she thinks about how she just can't leave her. I think she might tell as much. Mm-hmm. But they keep going. She just marks that, She's like, I can't leave her to suffer. Yeah. And has this internal battle about, would I sacrifice her to save my sister?
Right.
The whole thing. But then they approach the Hybern tent, King Boy. And who appears?
Freaking Eris.
No.
Jurian. Sorry.
I was like, wait, what?
Wrong person.
He's there? Why?
Friggin' Jurian.
Jurian!
He creeps up and he's like, he's been looking for you.
Uh-huh. But he recognizes that it's Feyre immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of excited about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, you've been lusting after me for weeks. Act like it. Gives her a bit of information. So she starts touching his arms and stuff. And she, of course, wants to know about Elaine.
Yeah, she's like, where's my sister?
Uh-huh.
And he isn't really answering her at first.
Yeah,
he just keeps egging her on a little bit. But then he tells her.
Safe.
He tells her that she's safe and untouched and that the king was surprised to find her in front of the cauldron.
Yeah.
Which is what I was talking about earlier.
You were.
We were on different pages.
No, but I hear you. I know. Yeah. The king was surprised. The cauldron just worked on its own volition to kidnap Elaine, which is also a lot. Come on, cauldron. Relax.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Fuck up Nesta.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like, bitch, you took part of me. I'm going to take part of you.
Yeah, you're right. It has a vengeance. It's a living being in its own right.
Yep.
But Jurian is like, did you kill... He asks if Yanthi's dead. And she was like, she got what she deserved. And Jurian's happy by that.
Oh, yeah.
Which everyone should be.
Absolutely.
And he tells her that Elaine's chained up in the tent with the cauldron with magic, too. Like, she's got a spell on her from the king's favorite book of spells.
The freaking book.
The freaking book.
I hate that book.
She also asks about the Child of the Blessed.
She does. I think she asks him, she's like, help me save this child.
Yeah, help me. And he's like, yeah, this happens a lot. There's been a lot. There will be more.
Yeah.
And he tells her that he'll meet her at, like, the western end. He'll bring the child and meet her. But he's like, okay, now you got to say aloud that you want to go pray to the cauldron before we go to bed.
Yep.
Because they've been banging, I'm assuming.
I guess.
And so it's regular behavior for her to do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, do it now.
So she does.
She does. And when they get in the tent,
goes
Az is like,
in.
I'm here.
Yep.
He pops out of the shadows.
Hey, bitch.
Hey.
Hey, I'm the shadow.
Singer.
La.
Yeah. And she starts saying a prayer. Like, she only knows one.
Yeah.
She just starts saying it.
And she's like, I have approximately this long to save my sister.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotta... Az is searching. And they find her behind a curtain.
Yep.
Just, like, cowering in her bath... or her nightgown.
In her nightgown. She's shivering. She's cold.
And she's shook to see Az and Yanthi.
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, oh, shit.
Feyre's like, that's me.
Yeah. Shapeshifts back to herself.
Yeah.
And Az cannot, like, undo her binds.
He can't break the binds.
No.
Yeah. So he just, like, rips them out of the ground.
I don't know if they're in the ground, but yeah, he just picks her up.
Oh, I just imagined them, like, staked into the ground.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know if it
Because
said
she
that.
could just, like, still
with
walk
her
away.
Unless her feet are also bound.
I mean, yeah, but even then you can do a little shuffle. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
but
I
in the
guess you're
midst
not
of
going to get very
giant
far.
army, no. Yeah, I imagined the spell around her would have been more containing.
Right.
Like, kept her in the tent or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
They were
that's
very
fine.
easily able to just, like... was the spell just the curtain?
Yeah. The spell was the... I mean, it has the, like, magic nullifying chains.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what he's talking about. But honestly,
maybe.
I'm like, I thought it would be harder than that.
Yeah.
But he picks her up, chains and all.
Yep.
And he's like, we gotta freaking book it, girl. Like,
Yep.
we're gonna blast out the back of this tent. We gotta run.
Yep. And they start to hear screaming outside of the tent, which apparently is, like, Jurian making a distraction.
He's causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
Of some variety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diversion.
And Feyre's like, this is our time.
Uh-huh.
We must go now.
We must.
We must.
And so Az blasts a freaking hole in the back of the tent, and they start booking it.
Yep.
But are being chased immediately.
Immediately. By hounds?
Hounds. But she says they're like cousins to the Naga. Like, they don't look like dogs. They're like creepy as hell.
I have actually a description of them.
Okay.
They're Naga-like creatures. They're like cousins of the Naga or something.
Mm-hmm.
Some monstrous scaled thing that thundered on all fours. A serpentine face full of bone-shredding white teeth.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah, it sounds really fun.
Yeah.
You want to pet them?
I mean, probably.
I would.
If I'm being
Unless
honest.
they wanted to eat me, then probably not.
I mean, yeah, but, like, have you ever seen a lion and you're like, oh, man, I really just want to boop it.
That's true. Yeah, but these
I wanna
sound
boop
not
that
cute.
snoot.
I think the reason you want to pet dangerous creatures is because they're fuzzy and cute.
True.
Whereas this is like a demon.
True.
A demon hound.
Okay, but hear me out. Have you ever seen a pug?
Are they
They're
demons?
like so ugly that they're cute.
I don't know if the same could be said here.
I
We should try to look up a picture after this and report back.
All right.
But nonetheless, they're running. Hounds are after them.
And there's guards, too.
Yeah. They feel like, I don't know, presence is like following them, but they can't quite make them out.
Mm-hmm.
And Feyre picks up a bow and a quiver of ash arrows.
Yep.
And starts firing behind her.
Yep.
At the freaking beasties.
Yep. And Asriel is shielding them because the guards that are chasing with the beasts are also shooting arrows.
Yeah, and Az has a lot to do here.
Yeah.
Feyre's magic is all but gone.
Yeah.
Because of all the stuff they've been doing.
All of the things.
They've been doing a lot of stuff with their magic. And he's carrying Elaine. Mm-hmm. And he can fly. Mm-hmm. He's got to get him out of there. He has to winnow them home. But yeah, they're running for their freaking lives. And at some point, as the hounds are coming, the king just like starts casually strolling through the camp.
Yeah.
And somehow like he like megaphones his voice across the camp like, hey!
He's like
thieves!
Freaking Dumbledore at the Quidditch games.
With the water to his throat. Yes!
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. Mm-hmm. And he's like, where you going? What are you doing, y'all? You're taking my stuff?
Yeah. You dirty little people.
He's not in a hurry. He's just walking after him.
Intrepid thieves, he calls them.
Shut up.
I know, I hate him.
Friggin' Paul. But then... Chad.
Daniel.
Sorry. Pad. Paul and Chad together.
Friggin' Pad hybrid.
That's gotta be it. But then he shoots Feyre with an ash arrow.
In the shoulder?
Yeah. Yeah. And is still just casually walking.
Jerk.
Yeah, freaking rude.
We forgot to mention also that as they were running and they were like getting closer to the cliff, they saw the girl.
Oh, yeah. She's standing.
I assume
waiting.
It's a girl.
I think it is.
Okay. But no Jurian.
Yeah, Jurian's not there. I mean, that's probably for the better.
I mean,
he doesn't want to out himself as a ally. I was going to say an alliance. That's the plural. Or just relax.
I think you're the one that needs to relax, Danielle.
I know. But then the hounds are catching up with Feyre.
Yeah.
I think they start coming at her.
I think she's like on the ground because she just got shot with an ash arrow.
In the shoulder.
And she's like,
she pulled it out, I'm pretty sure. She rips it out.
Yeah, but there's like splinters and stuff.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
She's bleeding.
It's bad.
She's bleeding.
Yeah.
I think Az puts his magic on her to like patch it up.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, who the frick comes? Who the frickin' frick comes, dude?
Who? Frick.
I was like, I forgot about this part.
I also forgot about this part. I have, okay, so I guess we should mention.
Yeah.
Friggin' Tamlin.
Tampon.
Friggin' Tammy.
He comes beast forming.
Yeah.
And tackles a hound.
Yeah.
And he's like, run.
I wrote in my notes. So Feyre's on the ground. She gets attacked by a hound who snaps her bow, which was her only weapon. Mm-hmm. And as she's grabbing for her knife, her Illyrian knife, she hears a growl. Yeah. And friggin' Tammy Tantrums comes.
He does.
And I wrote in my notes, it's Tammy Tantrums. Saving the day, question mark? What the fuck?
Truly.
Oh, and I totally forgot about this. LOL.
Yeah, same. I definitely forgot that happened.
Yeah. I was shook.
Me too.
Shooketh
so
to the coreth.
We can assume. I really hated that.
Me too.
Shooketh to the coreth. But same. And we can only assume that this means, like, he's playing spy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he saves her.
Yeah.
And she starts booking it more.
I don't know that I guess we could assume it means he's playing spy, but it could also mean he's still just pining after her and he's like, maybe if I save her life, she'll love me again and come back to me and fuck her mate. Not literally, but fuck off.
Yeah. Maybe. Which is, maybe. I guess I jumped the gun.
You did.
A little.
Jeez.
But okay, fine. Could have been either. But Tammy's in a freaking battle to the death with these hounds. He's getting it.
He's doing
and he's
the
getting
thing.
beat up at the same time. And the king, or no, I'm sorry, Asriel. What?
I'm laughing at my notes. I'm sorry.
Are they good?
Yeah.
Asriel tells Feyre that she's got to fly.
Yeah.
She's got to get up off that ground.
I can't carry you.
No,
bitch.
You got to fly. That and, like, he's going to make it to the air first.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to meet me up there. You got to fly.
Yeah, he tells her he has to fly, and then, like, she has to fly, and then he immediately takes off.
And he scoops up the child.
Feyre tells her, like, grab onto him.
I think that's Elaine. Elaine is in his arms, like, you need to freaking get him.
It was Elaine, you're right, yeah.
Open your eyes, because the child's just like, help. And Elaine starts yelling at her, like, if you want to live, you need to grab onto him.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot Elaine was here.
the entire reason that we're in this situation. But fair. Yeah. She's not super memorable.
No.
Right now.
Not at the moment.
Yeah. But he scoops up the child of blessed, flies into the air, and Feyre's like busts out her wings and is trying to catch flight, is struggling. What?
We forgot to mention also, so as takes off.
Oh, yeah.
Elaine yells at the girl. Girl grabs Elaine, and a hound jumps after them and lands on Asriel on his back and like shreds his wings.
Yeah, fucks him up.
But he somehow manages to stay in the sky.
Yeah, and Elaine is the one who starts
she
kicking
kicks
the
friggin'
shit
hound
out
off of him.
Like Elaine is like fight mode right now, and I'm like, good for you for finally getting some like oomph.
Yeah, sorry I forgot about
behind you. Yeah,
buddy.
Are you? No, you're not. But yeah, Elaine kicks the beast off. So then, Az is all sorts of mangled, but he's still in the air, waiting for Feyre. Like, come on, get higher. You gotta do better.
For Feyre, who's just standing there watching all of this happen.
I think she's running still. She's running, trying to get off the air.
I don't think she's trying hard enough. Honestly,
she's had like what, a second of flying practice?
A couple days at least.
It's gotta be hard.
Yeah, and probably terrifying.
And
there's a giant cliff,
and she's got a hole in her shoulder.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Come on,
too.
Sarah.
Well,
quit being
adrenaline.
Mean. Yeah. Anyway,
adrenaline
she gets off the ground. Okay, she does it in the end. But with the help of good old Tampon, he sends her like a spring breeze or something.
Yeah. I have a freaking
that like lifts her.
I have a maybe
pushed
a quote
by warm.
You turd. You're probably reading my quote right now.
Stop. I didn't write it word for word, so
I don't know if it is worth reading. That's not even the right page. Never mind.
Okay.
I don't know where it is.
All right. I just wrote that Feyre is struggling to take flight and is pushed by a warm lilac and new grass wind.
Okay.
So she gets up and she like throws Helion's white light at the wards and busts a hole.
Busts a hole.
Barely big enough for like a person to get through.
Yeah.
So how does Az fit? He's got 3 people.
Did it say it wasn't very big? I thought it was big.
No.
Okay.
It's like a person-size hole.
All right, well.
But
how do you get through holding 3 people?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 2, but yeah.
Oh, and you are 3 people.
Yes, anyhow. He does. And she makes it out, Az and her make it out of the hole, and then Tamlin, like, does this grandiose, crazy leap. Mm-hmm. She's like, that's higher and faster than any high fae should be able to do.
Yeah.
And he just jumps out the hole and winnows away.
He does. I think he uses his wind.
Yeah,
to
he
also
wins
help himself.
Yeah, he flies on that wind.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look at Feyre as he winnows away. No. He's out of there.
He's just like, bye. I saved you again.
That's us. Yeah. He leaves. And then Az manages to winnow them back to camp. He can only make it as far as like the edge.
They're on like the outskirts of the camp, and they have to walk the rest of the way.
Yeah, and Rhys winnows over to him. I'm sure he knows they're there.
Yeah, I think it takes a minute though. Like they're walking and someone sees them.
Yeah.
Like someone, I don't know.
Who knows?
And whoever it is like, send a healer to the Shadow Singer's tent immediately. And then Rhys shows up.
Rhys winnows over.
Yeah.
We learn that the child of the blessed's name is Briar.
Mm-hmm.
Az is taken to Thiessen because he's the most injured. So he needs hella healing.
Hella help.
Yeah. And Briar goes with more. And N. Girl. I can't read my notes. Yeah. Nesta charges and like hugs Feyre even though she's super injured and embraces Elaine and she's all sorts of relieved.
Were you shocked that the first person Nesta ran to was Feyre? Because I was.
A little bit.
I was like, what?
But also, she's the one who saved her precious Elaine.
I mean, yeah, but...
Credit where it's due.
But...
I know. She doesn't actually give a shit. I mean, she does, though.
She absolutely does.
She does. She loves Feyre a lot.
Yeah. She's just real shitty at showing it.
I know. She's getting slightly better.
For now.
But Feyre, like, goes through the motions. She doesn't even really remember anything that happens. like being healed. She doesn't remember telling Reese everything that happened.
Fever dream.
Yeah. And then I have a quote. You might be going to it. But then when she goes to sleep, her sisters come and join her. Do you have that? Is that what you're pulling?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, it might not be the same.
I was going to read the bottom of this page and this part.
Okay.
But you do you.
I'll read the bottom then.
Okay.
Feyre says, but I did remember laying down on the bearskin rug once it was done. How I felt Elaine's slim body settle next to mine and curl into my side, careful not to touch the bandaged wound in my shoulder. I had not realized how cold I was until her warmth seeped into me. A moment later, another warm body nestled on my left. Nesta's scent drifted over me, fire and steel and unbending will. I didn't know how long my sisters and I lay there together, just like we had once shared that carved bed in the dilapidated cottage. Back then, we had kicked and twisted and fought for any bit of space, any breathing room. But that morning, as the sun rose over the world, we held tight and did not let go. And I had I wrote in my notes.
Yes. Writing occurred.
I wrote in my notes, the first sweet sister moment in this whole damn book.
True.
Or series, not books.
Yeah. In all of them.
All of them.
I know. They cuddle up.
I know.
Well, they almost lost each other for real.
It's
or at
true.
least Elaine.
Yeah.
And Elaine is the only one that keeps
Elaine is like
okay.
the glue that holds everyone together.
I know. But that was sweet.
It was very sweet.
Sister bonding moment.
I know.
And then Feyre wakes up before both of them in the morning and leaves and tells someone to get him food.
Yeah.
And that someone's you should eat too. And she's like, shut up, bitch.
I don't feel like it.
No, thank you.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm High Lady.
I eat when I want. But Callias's army is there. The Winter Court army is there. Mm-hmm. And Feyre's still shook that Tamlin intervened. And she says that he must be a spy for Hybern. Mm-hmm. And this whole time. Actually, there's a quote.
She also thinks about how what Tamlin did would kind of cover up Jurian's actions. Because the king would not at all be focused on that child of the blessed when Tamlin's there beasting out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. There is a quote here. She's sort of reflecting on Tamlin, the fact that he saved her, and all of this deception that he must have done to do so.
Yeah.
And she talks about the Nefel philosophy, if we remember that, of being your greatest weakness could be your greatest strength.
Yeah.
And she's like, the weakness that had transformed into a strength hadn't been my wings, my flying, but Tamlin. If he hadn't interfered, I didn't let myself consider. And I love that she equates him to a weakness.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
That's the only reason I took that quote. Because I was like, yes.
Yeah, girl.
He ended up saving you, but he's been a pain in your ass this entire time.
And he will continue to be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
100%.
All the time.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forever.
For the
eternity.
Rest of time. I mean, they're immortal.
They are immortal.
Yeah. But Callias's army is wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sort of trained warrior. All of them look kind of the same.
Yeah.
High fae.
Yeah.
I guess the Illyrians aren't either. But it's just a hodgepodge of fae.
Yeah.
Some of them gangly and long and ice and wild stuff. Bears.
Yeah.
Reindeer.
I'm like, do they have polar bears?
I think so. I'm pretty sure they said they did.
Are the bears polar bears? All of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Winter Court is described to have had polar bears a number of times.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if these were those bears.
Probably.
Are there other kinds of bears?
Maybe. But it is a winter
It's not
court.
important.
I feel like most...
There are grizzly bears in the winter.
Yeah, but they hibernate.
It's true.
Come on.
Do they have penguins?
Fighting penguins. I'd like
that
to
would
see
actually be terrifying. I hate birds.
But would they have to be really big to make any just giant penguins? It's like a bear-sized penguin slapping bitches.
Knee-height penguins would be the worst. They could just stab you right in the knee.
Man, I gotta see it. But yeah, you're right. They could take you out at the knees, cut your Achilles.
Oh,
I'm sorry I said it. I
Don't
made
ever do
myself
that again.
uncomfortable.
I'm upset.
But through all this, she spots Moore over by Vivian.
Yeah.
And some other Winter Court lady.
I think it's Vivian's sister.
Okay.
I think.
But Moore and Feyre lock eyes, and this is the first time they've seen each other since their big fight.
Yeah.
They had a big old fight last episode, guys.
They did.
They were pissed.
They left on bad
stupid
terms.
shit.
They left on bad terms, and then Moore, appeared right before Feyre and Az left to go retrieve Elaine, the little puppy she is. And
come here.
Moore was like, oh God.
Yeah, scared for them.
But didn't have time to say anything.
No.
Anyways, not important.
I mean,
it was important. But...
Yeah, but Moore approaches Feyre.
Yeah.
And they both, immediately want to apologize.
Yeah.
Because Moore was pissed at Feyre for having lied to her, and Feyre said some deep shit about how Moore lies all the time to everybody.
Brought up the whole Az situation.
Yeah, the love triangle.
Yeah.
And Moore unpacks a lot here.
She does.
She's like, listen, I wanted to tell you before you left. I've wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
It's just, super difficult. But essentially, I don't love Azriel. I prefer females.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this whole thing with Az has been a ruse.
Yeah.
Trying to keep him at bay.
Yeah.
Without telling him what's going on.
Yeah.
But
because she's ashamed a little bit.
Yeah.
And the whole reason she even has been plotting this as long as when she slept with Cassian.
Yeah.
She was like, I didn't sleep with Az because I knew that he would catch feelings and I knew that Cassian wouldn't. And
yeah, I saw the way Az looked at me.
Yeah.
And knew that it would destroy him.
It would hurt him.
Yeah, she's been doing all of this to keep him at arm's length and taking other men to make him think just to convince him that she doesn't want him but wants other males.
Yeah.
But she talks a lot about, how she's never come out because her family would disown her and it's a huge frowned upon thing, and she's jealous of Nefel and her wife.
Yeah.
But it's this whole emotional thing, and she
tells Feyre about her first love.
She does, yeah.
Which I don't know how to say this lady's name.
Andromachi.
I
don't know.
But Andromache.
Before all this, I want to read a quote. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Feyre keeps telling her, you could do it now. I won't say anything, but, Rhys wouldn't care. Nobody would care. Valaris would accept you.
Yeah.
You could come out anytime you're ready. And Moore says, but this part of me, it didn't matter as much when my family disowned me. When they called me a whore and a piece of trash, when they hurt me, because those things, they weren't part of me, weren't true and weren't intrinsic. They couldn't break me because they never touched that innermost part of me. They never even guessed, but I hid it. I've hidden it because I live in terror of my family finding out and shaming me, hurting me about this one thing that has remained wholly mine. This one part of me, I won't let them destroy it or try to. So I've rarely... During the war, I finally took my first female lover, which was Andromache. Match? I don't know. Andromache. But anyhow.
Who actually knows how to say her name?
Who was a human queen.
She was a human queen. She was a descendant of the Golden Queen.
Yeah. Or an ancestor of the Golden Queen.
Yeah.
She was Golden Queen's grandma or something. Mama.
The Golden Queen was her descendant.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
I read my notes wrong.
And they were separated by the wall when the wall came up.
Yeah.
And Moore tried to go back but couldn't get through.
Yeah.
And when she finally was able to...
the woman was married and had children.
Had babies.
Yeah.
But to a man, obviously.
Yeah.
And died happy in her bed.
Yeah.
So she had a long-lost human lover.
Yeah. And she has never loved anyone since.
No.
Which is really sad.
I know. So she keeps taking males to bed, but doesn't really care. And then goes and visits that restaurant that they go to, or have been to a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the owner of that
is also...
Yeah.
Gay.
Also gay, and also, hosts.
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, no wonder she's always out at night.
Yeah. She's going to gay parties.
Yeah, I want to go. For you more. Same. And essentially all of that to say, like, it's gone on for so long that she does not know how to, like, approach it with Az or tell anybody because it's been, 500 years in the making. Mm-hmm. This lie of hers.
Yeah, and she tells Pharaoh that basically, so, Az lost his shit on Eris after he said something to Moore. And she basically says that she slept with Helion after that to remind Azriel that she's not interested in him.
Yeah.
Which is really, really sad.
I know. You just gotta talk to him more.
Just tell him.
I know. He's still gonna pine after you.
He's still gonna love you.
I feel like,
like family.
And you saying you preferring females, I feel like is more final than taking other men to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know. But anyway, they have that moment. They make up. They love each other again.
Yeah.
And then they find out that Highburns moved their entire camp.
Yeah.
They're marching, like, east. Due east.
Yeah. Towards the...
Kind of the ocean.
Yeah.
The continent
the
side.
Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for all this, they're doing all this because there's a river in the way of the allied High Lords that they're too exhausted to winnow across. So they're going to have to take, like, a long way around.
Yeah.
Coming to realize Highburn did all of this with a purpose. Like, he wore them out so they wouldn't be able to catch up. So they wouldn't be able
to do it. Yeah.
Wouldn't be able to catch up. So they got to take the long way around a river.
Sneaky.
Freaking Highburn.
I know.
And he's going straight for the mortals.
Mm-hmm. Feyre's village.
Feyre's village.
Is in the path.
It is. And Nesta says something like, they're like, I mean, he could have done this anytime. Why now? And Nesta's like, well... He is insulted by me and my sisters. Because each of them have insulted him in some way.
Yep.
And he wants to make an example of, like, their village and family.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, and Rhys says something about, like, the king will now assume that they'll come... somewhere. I don't remember where. I have it written down. They'll come.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
After they saved Elaine because he assumes now that the sisters, like, hold sway.
Yeah.
With the High Lords.
Yeah. And one of the other High Lords, Helion, maybe asks, like, so are we not going to? And Rhys is like, I mean, yeah, of course we are.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, well, guess we're gonna die together.
Yeah.
And Feyre's plan in all of this is to spend whatever magic the High Lords have left to go in and winnow a bunch of humans out.
Yeah. I have a quote I want to read.
Okay.
Because my notes say, must read this!
Oh, jeez.
And it's kind of what you just said, but more detailed.
Great.
So Tarquin says, so we're not going to? And Rhys says, of course we're going to. We'll be outnumbered and exhausted, and it will not end well. But this has nothing to do with my mate or her sisters. The wall is down. It's gone. It's a new world, and we must decide how we are to end this old one and begin it anew. We must decide if we will begin it by allowing those who cannot defend themselves to be slaughtered, if that is the sort of people we are. Not individual courts. We as a Fae people. Do we let the humans stand alone? And Helion says, we'll all die together then. And Cassian says, good, and looks at Nesta and says, if I end my life defending those who need it most, then I will consider it a death well spent.
Yeah. Cassian is so freaking admirable.
I think I might be in love with Cassian.
I mean, that's absolutely fair.
Azriel.
Yeah,
Azriel. And Amryn.
Same. And more.
And Feyre.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I love Feyre a lot more as the books progress.
Same. Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go off and start winnowing all the humans.
Yeah.
As much as they can.
As many as they can. And they take them to...
Adriata, Summer.
Summer, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to do it to Valaris, but it's too far.
Yeah.
For all their lack of winnowing.
Friggin' Baron's still nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, that fool.
Jerk.
Jerk. And there's, like, a family or two that protest, and Rhys just, like, takes them anyway and drops them off, and they're, like, screaming when they get to Summer.
Yeah,
and
there's some people who are like, kind of leery, and Reese like tickles their minds and like comforts them. He's like,
honey,
it's okay, baby.
It's
sweetie.
okay, sweetie baby, honey darling. Get over here. I don't have time for this.
Trying to save your life, you idiot.
Yeah, and they have a limited amount of time.
Yeah,
now.
very.
Jeez Louise.
Very.
But they get as many as they can. And then... Oh, I guess I jumped the gun a little bit. Yeah, sorry. After they talk about all this, plans to meet up with the king and his army, Amren comes busting through.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, y'all, I hope that you just agreed to go to the king or take down the king because I got answers. We gotta go.
I know how to break the cauldron.
Yeah, we're gonna do it together.
Yep.
We being the maid people.
Those who were made.
So the sisters and Amren are gonna do it. I found a way to stop his entire army. Mm-hmm. So essentially, I think Amren tells them that, it was too much for Feyre. It would have killed her, but we can split the drain between the four of us.
Yeah.
And hopefully take down its wielder and then subsequently his army.
The whole army, yeah.
Everyone could go down. So then they do the winnowing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get back, Reese is hella drained and just passes right the heck out.
Yeah.
And Feyre's looking at him like, man, he's been expending so much magic in all of this.
Yep.
And he shouldn't have to shoulder it alone.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna take the brunt of this.
Uh-huh.
And where she realizes that she needs the bone carver.
Yeah.
And so she's got to get that freaking mirror.
The Ouroboros.
The Ouroboros.
Which this is wild. And I have a lot of questions for you. Maybe not questions, but yeah, questions. Listen. So she winnows out. She goes to the Court of Nightmares. And she's like, I'm here. The Ouroboros is the mirror of beginnings and endings. And she remembers what the Suriel said to her. Only you can decide what breaks you.
Yeah.
Curse breaker. Mm-hmm. So she makes it down to the chamber with the mirror.
And it's creepy.
It's creepy as hell.
It's real creepy.
And it's just
the mirror itself is also creepy.
Yeah, the vibes are not good.
Bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
Yeah.
But it's very clear. It's just sitting there in a room on its own. And as she starts walking up to it, all she sees is herself.
Yeah, she's like, there's nothing
She's
here.
like, what's this? What's the hype all about?
I am confused.
What's the hype all about?
And then she sees something move in the corner of the mirror.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, oh, God, I'm not alone. There's something in here with me.
There's something in here with me.
So she turns around.
Well, she says it must be, she's like, I'm not going to be afraid. It's probably a protector of the mirror. She assumes it's a creature that's meant to protect the mirror. A beast.
Crawling down the snow-kissed wall, a massive beast of claws and scale and fur and shredding teeth inched towards the floor toward me.
Great. I'm pretty sure that's what I was going to read.
I apologize.
No, that's
sorry.
great. I didn't have to find it. But yeah, so it's this creepy-ass beast.
Yeah.
Crawling over.
And then it pounces.
Yeah, and she's at the ready. She's ready to stab it.
Yep.
And turns around to do so, but it's not there.
Nothing's there.
Nothing's there.
She is on
it's
her
an
own.
empty room.
Yeah.
You know what this gives me? The vibe?
What?
The freaking mirror in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But that one was things you want, I guess. So it's very different.
Very different.
It did give him the Sorcerer's Stone. That was kind of... It's not the same.
It's not.
It's a mirror, okay?
Connections!
A magical mirror. But yeah, she turns back to the mirror, and the beast is sitting where she was.
Where she was standing, yeah.
And she realizes it's her?
Yeah, okay. Feyre's kind of dumb, right?
Uh-huh.
I want to know how she so quickly is like, oh, it's me, obviously.
I feel like she must just, the connection with it, and or she's starting to understand what the mirror's showing her. I don't know. It must have been more than that, because it also doesn't tell us everything she sees.
No.
It's very ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's I saw, my good and bad.
Yeah.
This beast being her, and, yeah, what's that beast about? Why is that her? Scaly, freaking dark, clawed. I need more.
Yeah.
Sham. I need a bigger explanation about this
Yeah.
beast. Because we put that quote down, the one you read, and it was I needed to ask why.
Why?
Why is that Feyre?
Yeah.
And what else do other people see?
Yeah. What? I need more. Maybe it'll come up again later.
Maybe.
Not obviously any in those books, but Maybe later. I mean, the series isn't done.
That's true. Or good old CC. We've not gotten there.
Don't spoil it.
Don't say anything.
I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I won't. This is the internet.
No. Rescind.
I take it back.
I will.
For legal purposes, I will not be killing anybody.
I'll be just kind of grumpy with you.
I will be mad.
Watch your back.
I won't be your friend anymore.
But yeah, she realizes it's her. Whatever. Looks in the mirror.
Yeah.
Does not know how long she was there.
No.
She's like, it could have been hours.
Could have been hours. Could have been minutes.
And then she goes to the bone carver.
Yep.
And she
walks in, and he's like, "Oh, you got the mirror."
Yeah. And she's like, "Okay, yeah. Are you ready?" He's like, "It'd be my pleasure."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What the heck do you mean by that, big man?"
Yeah. Which I don't understand why she questioned that at all.
Yeah.
Because, like, they had a deal that if she got the mirror for him, then he would work with her. So when he said that, I would have been like, cool, let's go.
Right.
Not like, what do you mean?
I know. Why is that? I think he talks about how, maybe not. He says he doesn't need the mirror. But I feel like it's after she asks why.
It is after.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I didn't actually need the mirror. I was just testing you.
Testing you. He talks about how it was a test because it's a rare person to face who they truly are and not run from it, not be broken by it.
Yeah.
And most of the people who look into the Ouroboros can't hang it. They can't, like, accept it. Mm-hmm. And are, turned insane by said mirror. But she did it, which I just, again, still need more.
Yeah.
I need to know more. Because that's wild. Did you have a quote?
I think you've said it all.
Okay. I was going to look at that quote, but I was like, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
So then she grabs Bone Carver's hand and she's out the door.
Yep. She's like, let's go, buddy.
She's like, come on.
We're going.
I really hope someone watches that on YouTube because that was awkward as fuck. But I like it.
I know.
She's like, man, I'm grabbing this bony, weird guy.
Yeah.
She thinks about it a little bit.
Do you think they hold hands like this? Or like this? Or is she just like holding his fingers like this?
Or she just like grabs his elbow.
She's got his pinky.
There's a lot of options, really. But I guess he does look like her potential son.
It's
yeah.
Ooh.
But his hand doesn't feel like that.
Maybe it does.
She says it doesn't.
Is he like as tall as a child?
I mean, it must be if he
be,
embodies her son.
Doesn't she? Wait a second. She has to like turn him into a different person to get him out of the prison, though. Bind him to a different body. Does he then still show up as her child?
I doubt it. I mean, later on, no, he doesn't.
Right.
Actually, later on, he's something entirely different.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think she binds him.
She has to.
Who does she bind him to? That's never explained.
It is.
Is it?
She binds him to like a young looking, and I have it specifically in my notes. We'll talk about it later.
All right. She got the bone cover out, y'all.
Yeah.
She got him out. And she goes back. And it's time. It's time to freaking get on out of here.
Yep.
And
they're working their way.
They're working their way. Making their way downtown.
Yep.
Walking past.
Faces pass. Yeah. Except not, because there's nobody, because war.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they get to the
and they're
humans.
Definitely not homebound.
No, quite the opposite. But they are going through, like, the destroyed rubble of the mortal, like, Fairstown.
Yeah,
and her
village
estate,
is completely, like, destroyed.
Her estate is focused on.
Yeah.
Like, it's very pointed.
Yeah, for sure.
It's clear what they were trying to drive home here.
Yep.
The
Illyrians are getting real annoyed.
Yeah.
Because they're, like, tired of waiting
on
they
everyone else.
They just want to go.
Yeah.
Fight King.
They
take him down.
Fly on their own. But, yeah, because they can't be winnowing, so it's like, on foot. Going as fast as they can.
If they go, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for you. But they are going, And
they are.
Cassian is, like, ordering everyone around.
Yeah, before they leave to go on their march, Feyre and Nesta, like, change into fighting gear.
Yeah.
And Elaine doesn't, because she's Elaine.
Yeah.
She's not going to be fighting. Come on, let's be real.
No.
And Nesta, like, takes a weapon, but Elaine won't.
Yeah.
Until freaking Az comes and gives her truth teller.
I know. He's like, I won't be using it. Oh, yeah, because he's still messed up. He can't fight. He's healed enough to be okay, but he can't fly. He can, like, use his magic.
Yeah, he can only use his magic. He can't even, like, be down in the battle and, like, using swords or anything because he's still injured. Yeah. But he can use his magic from afar.
Very much messed up still.
So he'll stand on a hilltop.
Yeah, so he gives her
truth teller.
And she accepts it. And even Reese is like, that's the first time he's ever given that to anybody. Like, nobody's been able to touch it.
No one has even touched it before.
Yeah.
There's definitely something going on between them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They're an interesting relation arc happening.
I want them to love each other.
So yeah, Az is meant to be just eyes, ears, and magic, nothing else. And what?
I want to read this quote.
Okay.
It's really, really aggressive. I'm sorry. It's about Azriel and Elaine. Okay. And it's another one of Feyre's imagined paintings. Oh. And she describes it. She says, I saw the painting in my mind, the lovely fawn blooming spring vibrant around her. Blooming spring vibrant around her. I read that weird. Standing before death, shadows and terror lurking over his shoulders. Light and dark, the space between their bodies, a blend of the two. The only bridge of connection, that knife.
Yeah. And Reese is like, paint that when you get home.
Yeah.
In their mate bond, and she's like, relax.
She's like, busybody. Busybody.
Stop it. But they have sort of a moment as they think about, because they're on the last leg of this march. They know that, like, very soon they're going to be catching up with the Highburns.
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, man, I wish we had, we didn't really get to say a proper goodbye. Like, last night was the last night that we could have banged it out, essentially. Or just been close and, had our moment.
Yeah. And it's not even, like, all about Reese either. She's, enjoying the moment with everyone in the inner circle and her sisters. And she's like, man, this is the last time we're going to be, like, together.
Yeah. All the important folks are standing together. The inner circle. And sisters, which I guess they're part of it now. Mm-hmm. And Reese is like, so you want to go over to that wagon real quick and bang it out? Essentially, she's like, no, stop it. Like, that's not the point. That's not it. But then Reese gives a speech, and part of me wants to read the entire thing, but it's a lot.
It's a long one, but I think you should.
Am I allowed to do that?
I don't know.
Does someone know the rules? Okay. Internet help. Well, this is on page 612 and into 613. It's essentially both of them. But Reese has to give his, like, I'm your leader speech. And he says, do you want the inspiring talk or the bleak one? And Amren's like, we want the real one.
Are you going to cry?
Maybe. No, reading this page, I was like, God. Because it's intense.
It is.
They know what they're walking into.
Yeah.
But anyway, Reese pushed his shoulders back, elegantly folding his wings behind him. I believe everything happens for a reason. Whether it is decided by the mother or the cauldron or some sort of tapestry of fate, I don't know. I don't really care, but I'm grateful for it, whatever it is. Grateful that it brought you all into my life. If it hadn't, I might have become as awful as that prick we're going to face today. If I had not met an Illyrian warrior in training, he said to Cassian, I would not have known the true depths of strength, of resilience, of honor, and loyalty. Cassian's eyes gleamed bright. Reese said to Azriel, if I had not met a shadow singer, I might not have known that it is the family you make, not the one you are born into, that matters. I would not have known that what it is to truly hope, even when the world tells you to despair. Azriel bowed his head in thanks. Moore was already crying when Reese spoke to her. If I had not met my cousin, I would have never learned that light can be found in even the darkest of hells, that kindness can thrive even amongst cruelty. She wiped away her tears, and she nodded. I waited for Amren to offer a retort, but she was only waiting. Of course. She said either like me next. I just picture her there, like,
tapping her foot.
Reese bowed his head to her. If I had not met a tiny monster who hoards jewels more fiercely than a fire drake, my own power would have consumed me long ago. Reese squeezed my hand as he looked at me at last. And if I had not met my mate, his words failed him as silver lined his eyes. Oh, God. He said down the bond, I would have waited 500 more years for you, 1,000 years. And if this was all the time we were allowed to have, the wait was worth it. He wiped away the tears sliding down my face. Stop. I believe that everything happened exactly the way it had to, so I could find you. He kissed another tear away. And then he said to my sisters, we have not known each other for long, but I have to believe that you were brought here into our family for a reason too, and maybe today we'll find out why.
It's so friggin', like heart-wrenching,
I know, especially because, at this point we don't know the outcome, and they're headed into what seems like sure death.
Yeah.
But they have to do it.
They have to. They don't have a choice.
It's either die fighting or just die.
Yeah. Die weak little cowards.
I know. But I love the inner circle so much.
I know.
And Reeson is so pure.
I know.
I love him.
Me too.
Oh, God.
I know. There were a couple times in this last section that I got a little teary-eyed.
Yeah, same.
The first time I read it, I sobbed.
Yeah, same.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments. And it almost got me again.
Yeah.
And it almost got me while you were reading it.
Well, before we start crying, we should move on, huh?
We should, yeah.
But that is like their final goodbye,
Yeah.
And he says, as they're headed out, Amryn says, we're grateful for your Reeson more than you know. And he's like, then let's go make Hybern very ungrateful to have known us too.
Yes.
And they head out. And they go.
They do. And when they arrive at the battlefield,
it's not looking good.
It's not good.
They picked this spot, Hybern did, very intentionally, because they have high ground.
High ground.
Big high ground. They're on mountains and shit, hiding in between the mountain crevices, but also have just insane amounts of foot soldiers waiting at the front line.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No.
Me neither. It makes me kind of want to vomit.
Yeah, same. I can't even. No. They can't stack up. And Reese, asks Cassian how long we have, basically.
Yeah. Cassian's
he avoids the question.
Yeah, he does. But he eventually says, maybe hours.
Yeah. Maybe only hours.
That's it.
And their whole plan is, to have Reese, Cass, all of the armies fight as well as they can.
Yeah.
While the girls, airmen and sisters, make it to the cauldron.
Yeah. But they can't just go. They have to wait until.
Well, yeah.
There's a distraction.
Chaos.
There's chaos, yeah.
Yeah. So they're sizing it all up.
Yeah.
Looking around. Not good.
Not good at all.
Not good.
And then is this where the first horn comes in? No. This is when the freaking bone carver shows up.
Yeah.
Before they
have all this stuff. Az says he wants to fight on foot. Reese won't let him.
Yeah.
They talk about also, there's a plan for as soon as because both armies right now are
they're trying to break
doing magic
shields.
stuff.
Yeah.
And as soon as they fall, Reeson is going to spear his magic out and kill as many of them as he can.
Yeah.
In one swoop,
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
Yeah.
And then the walls start to fall.
Yeah, when Feyre starts to feel the shields
this
come
is
down.
Great. All of this, I'm like, it was nuts.
She goes into Reese's mind and she's like, oh, by the way, I never got you a mating gift.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Yeah.
And it's the bone carver.
It's the bone carver.
And Bryaxis.
Bryaxis, yeah. And Bryaxis is like a cloud.
Yeah. Creepy thing.
It won't show itself.
Yeah.
It's just in a cloud of terror.
Mm-hmm.
And the bone carver was described as the Grim Reaper. He has a freaking what's it called? He's got a scythe. Yeah.
Okay, but this is what I was talking about earlier. She specifically says, Feyre says, the bone carver chose an Illyrian warrior in his prime as his new body.
Okay.
So, last episode or some time ago, I don't know, we had this debate about whether Amryn was able to choose her body or not when she broke out of the prison. Because we were like, where did she get her body? Does she have to take over another body?
Yeah, but then we also talked about how, what's her face? Nuan?
Yeah.
Looked like Amren's race, and Faye was like, whatever Amren created for herself. Mm-hmm. So Faye like implied that Amren somehow made a Fae body.
Yeah, so that was what I was getting at, was that the bone carver got to choose his body. Like, they just made something for him.
Okay. And he's Illyrian in his prime. But isn't he also described as, like, the Grim Reaper?
I don't remember that.
Waving his scythe around and not even touching people, and they're dying.
I don't remember that.
Oh, well, it's in there. Maybe I can find it. But he's, like, going through and freaking slashing with his scythe.
Yeah.
And is creepy as hell. Anyway, he pops up. And then Reese is like, ha ha, funny. Funny that you mention it.
I got you a present, too.
I sure did. And it's the Weaver!
The freaking Weaver. Striga.
Brother and sister united. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're happy about it.
No, I think the bone carver is terrified. He's been hiding from her.
I know, he looks like, ooh.
He's like, I went to the prison to hide from this bitch. Yeah. And now she's right beside me.
Yeah, we're fighting together in a war.
Yeah, I mean, they fight.
They have their own business. They each get to kill as many people as they want.
They're on their own missions.
Yeah, and the destruction they start causing is wild.
Yeah.
The power that those three have together is insane.
And is it the Weaver or Briaxis that is, like, carving a path for the girls?
The Weaver.
It's the Weaver. That's what I thought.
Yeah, Reese says the Weaver has, like, an odd sense of smell or something. Like, can find the cauldron with her sense of smell.
Oh, also, Reese tells Feyre, I'm sorry, we have to talk about this. The day the Suriel died, in the middle, when Yanthy died.
Oh, yeah.
Reese had sent Helion to make this bargain with her that, he would free her from her confinement in the middle, right. And she would be free if she would help them in the war. And that's the only reason that Helion was there to, like, not save, but but that's the reason he found Feyre in the middle.
That's lucky.
Wild.
That's also very lucky, Feyre.
I know.
I guess.
I mean, she was fine at that point. Yanthy was gone.
She just was out of magic almost.
That's true.
And she was just weeping over the Suriel's body while the battle raged on.
Yeah, and Helion got to help her burn the body. And anyways, I just thought that was fucking crazy.
I know. But yeah, they both got each other gifts of just really terrifying, murderous death gods. And Braxis, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just start going to town.
They do.
Murdering left and right.
Reese missed a bunch of people.
Yeah, and Reese kind of asks Feyre, like, about her Ouroboros experience. Because he's like, what did you see? I mean, he had to get the mirror to get the bone carver. And she says, myself, I said at last, I saw myself. It was perhaps the one thing I would never show him, anyone. How I had cowered and raged and wept. How I had vomited and screamed and clawed at the mirror, slammed my fist into it, and then curled up, trembling at every horrific and cruel and selfish thing I'd beheld within that monster, within me. But I had kept watching. I did not turn from it. And when my shaking stopped, I studied it. All those wretched things, the pride and hypocrisy and the shame, the rage and the cowardice and the hurt. Then I began to see other things, more important things, more vital. And what I saw, I think I loved it, forgave it, me, all of it. That's a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No.
Well, that's a very, like, you see a beast, intense, visceral experience, but to be, like, sat down in front of every wrongdoing in your life.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to, like, the Midnight Library, where you're, like, faced with, I mean, this is clearly more terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you're faced with all of the things you've done wrong, but also I imagine the good parts. Like, it seems like she saw all of who she was.
Yeah.
Came to accept both sides.
Yeah.
But that was intense.
Well, like, you can't have the good without the bad, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to love them both.
And I'm sure it's gonna make her a better leader. And
absolutely, yeah.
But that's gotta be a trip.
Yeah.
Literally. She just went through a 40-step grieving process.
That's what I imagine.
In the matter of no time. Yeah.
A trip.
Probably. But yeah, the three of them just start going to town on Hybern's army.
They do. Hybern has a legion of Ator.
I found the part.
Oh.
real quick. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
The bone carver fought near by axis. No weapons to be seen beyond a scimitar of ivory of bone in that male's hand. He swept it before himself as if he were threshing wheat. Soldiers dropped dead before it with barely a blow laid upon them. Even that fey body of his could not contain that lethal power, stifle it. A scimitar is a little bit different, but it is a curved blade. So I just imagine Grim Reaper vibes.
That's fair.
For days.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
What were you saying?
Hybern has a legion of, like, Ator-like creatures who are using ash arrows. Yes. Tipped in Feybane, which they have the antidote for the Feybane, but again, it can't stop the arrows from piercing armor and whatever.
Yeah. Even with the 3 beasties out there murdering,
they're getting their asses handed to them.
It's going real bad. Well, when the wars dropped too, Rhys did send out his magic also, but like not like he sent a blast of power, and so did Azrael. Yeah, and Azrael also sent out a power blast. Yeah, but it's not.
I mean, their power only goes so far.
Yeah, and it's really not off to a good start. No, they're heavily outnumbered.
So outnumbered. Which brings me, to the next thing. They hear a friggin' horn in the distance, and friggin' Baron. Yeah. Spring Court. Mm-hmm. I mean Tamlin. Yeah. Autumn Court, I should say, and Tamlin. Yeah. And friggin' Grayson's army.
Yeah. And Jurian. Well, Jurian's with the humans, which I loved. They did. Still doesn't really mean shit, though.
I mean, no, but it's help. Yeah. It's something.
It's better. You know? It's more of a delay.
Mm-hmm. And this is, like, Rhys is like, okay, this is the distraction we need. It's time for you guys to go. You gotta go.
And Elaine and Nesta, what drops them to the ground? They're scared shitless. Nesta's on the ground. Something happens.
Not yet.
Oh, well, they're about to head out.
Not yet. It's later. They're, like, on the way, I feel like, when they...
No, because they leave Nesta and Elaine with the crew. I'm pretty sure. But
you're right. Yeah. Well, they come. Rhys tells them they need to go. Eris's brothers are fighting people. Oh, Eris's brothers are going and, like, destroying all the wagons that have the Feybane arrows in them.
They're setting a bunch of little fires.
Yeah, and then they're about to go. They're following the Weaver already. So the Weaver is, like, carving a path. And Nesta all of a sudden falls to the ground.
Oh. They're not far.
They're not far. Yeah. But they were going already.
True. I'm sorry, yeah.
Nesta falls and starts screaming Cassian's name.
Yeah. 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 So we know the last time this happened to Nesta, they're about to use a cauldron. Yeah. Yeah, she falls and starts just screaming Cassian, which summons him. Yeah, like, you see him coming above with the Lyrians, and he breaks off and comes back. Mm-hmm. Which, she knew that what was coming next would have killed him had she not done that. Yeah. But I apparently have a quote.
Okay. Apparently that's cool.
Yeah, I don't have notes anymore, so I'm just going off book. But the earth seemed to shudder in response. No, not in response to her, in terror of the thing that erupted from Hybern's army. I understand why the king had claimed those rocky foothills, not to make us charge uphill if we could push them so far, but to position the cauldron. For it was from the rocky outcropping that a battering ram of death-white light hurled for our army, just above level with the Illyrian legion in the sky, as the Ator's legion dropped to the earth and ducked for cover, leaving the Illyrians exposed. That's on page 626. So he just wipes out a shit ton of people really fast.
Yeah. And that's where Cassian was.
Yeah. Cassian would have died.
Before Nesta called him. Yeah. Screamed for him.
Mm-hmm. Which is wild. Yeah. Because I feel like the last time this happened to her, at least she didn't describe, like, seeing what was happening. Right. But it seems like she, like, had a premonition.
She knew exactly what was going on, where it was going to hit. Yeah. Yeah.
And doesn't a second blast come through? Like, once Cass is back with them?
Yeah, he sends another blast and kills the Bone Carver.
Oh, yeah. Which I was kind of sad about. Yeah. But the Bone Carver, like, looks back and is, like, happy.
He's, like, smiling.
He, like, smiles at Freyra. He's like, thanks, girl. Yep. Also, she has, like, a tattoo that binds her to both the Bone Carver and...
Yeah, because she made bargains with them. Yeah. And she feels it
She can command them. Yeah, like one of them leaves. It's down her back. She has a tattoo down her back for the bone carver, and she feels it like leave when he dies.
Yep.
Poor bone carver.
I know.
I think I'd feel bad for him.
I think that it was said that like the king knew how powerful the bone carver was, and he sacrificed some of his own army to kill the bone carver.
Yeah.
Because obviously he was fighting his army, and
oh yeah.
So when he killed the bone carver, it killed a bunch of his people too.
Yeah, because they weren't originally gonna blast his army, I don't think. But bone carver came. They wiped him away without any sign of effort. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The freaking king is going to town.
He is.
This whole end of this book was just, like, intense.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on. But after that happens, I'm sorry. I don't
you
even...
keep smacking.
I'm sorry.
Quit it.
I know. I'm a Maas.
But after that, Ness is like, all right, well, the cauldron's gone quiet now.
Yeah.
But her and Elaine are, like, both puking on the ground.
They're just absolutely horrified. I mean, you're seeing war in real time. You're in it.
Yeah.
And
that's gotta be
the cauldron,
traumatizing.
Yeah. And the cauldron just decimated thousands of people.
Also traumatizing.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's really not good.
Yeah.
Elaine's not okay.
No.
I think because they were, making their way towards the cauldron, they were deeper into, like, the throes of the war. Yeah. More than just looking at it from, like, an outcropping or whatever. So it's not good. So then Amren's like, well, we can do it.
Yeah.
You and I.
Yeah.
The two of us.
The two of us might be enough.
Yeah. It's fine. Let's just go. Amren.
Stuff makes me so mad. But then they hear another horn.
Yeah.
And they look to the sea.
Yeah.
Where the horn's coming from.
Well, isn't Hybern first bringing in a bunch of his own boats?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Sorry.
You're fine. The rest of Hybern's army is coming on ships, and there is a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Just absolutely overwhelming numbers. Yeah. And they don't have any boats right now.
Yeah, no.
Like, they don't have anything to defend against that.
What?
They're just dumping out on land.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why would you blow a horn to announce that you're there?
Ooh,
I think it's more like, oh.
Yeah, that's probably right. But I liked mine more. I don't know. I feel like they're visible anyway. So it's not really like an element of surprise for the enemy.
True.
And it doesn't matter because they're severely outnumbered. And Hybern maybe can't see him. So they're like, hey, we're here.
Hey, Daddy Hybern, we're here.
Daddy Hybern. No, Daddy Reese.
Pad.
The only daddy.
Hi, Pad.
Patty.
Anyways.
But they show up. They're doing it.
Yep. Amren's like, y'all, we gotta retreat. There's no way we can do this.
Yeah.
We are going to lose. We're all gonna die.
Yep.
And Reese is like, nah.
No, we're not.
We're not gonna do that.
It's fine. We have to stay. We gotta do it. There's no other choice.
There's no choice.
And so Az wants to go fight. He wants to, go against orders.
Yep.
And go to fight. Like, we don't have a lot of choice. You need everybody. Mm-hmm. And so Reese, like, reluctantly gives in.
Yep.
Knowing that it's gonna hurt him. And then Nesta is like, y'all, I could distract him. I could be bait.
Well, before that.
Oh.
The other horn sounds.
Another horn. Oh, yeah.
And this was weird to me. Reese grabs Feyre and flies her up into the sky, and Cassian grabs Nesta and flies her up into the sky.
That is weird.
I'm like, why?
Why couldn't they have landed the Miriam and Dragon? Or I guess it's just Dragon. Surprise, it's Dragon.
Yeah, way to ruin it.
Sorry.
It's fine.
But that is really dumb.
Yeah.
One, it's like easy target.
Yeah.
Like someone could just shoot you.
Right. I mean, if they're on the ground, I guess they could also just get shot by an arrow.
I feel like it's more obvious when you're just floating. And it's not like a whole horde of Illyrians. It's just 4 of them.
And it's not like they're zigzagging. They're just hovering.
Oh, yeah. That is weird. But they fly up.
Yeah.
And Dracan meets them.
Dracan is there.
He's like, hey, long time no see, guys.
I'm Dracan.
I heard you need help.
Yep. And they see also Miriam on the ships.
Oh, yeah. With their face sight.
Yep.
She's there. They have a shit ton of people.
Tons of people.
Lots of seraphim.
Where did they all come from?
All of their peeps are here and ready to help on a bunch of boats.
Yep.
And Drakon is like, dude, listen, we
sorry about it, but
we glamored our island too well. So much so
3 centuries ago.
Yeah. So much so that it's kept out both friends and enemies. Like we were there the whole time, which is so irritating.
Also very much like Valaris.
Yeah,
like they have all these wards up too.
Yeah. But
no one knew they were there.
Nobody did. And I think he mentions like basing it off of the spells used for Valaris. But yeah, they were there the whole freaking time, which even Az didn't like catch on to.
Yep.
And that's kind of irritating.
Absolutely.
I'm like, guys, come on.
Really?
Yeah. You couldn't have sent a letter like, hey, we're still here.
Just so you know, we're still here. We're gonna copy your glamours and put them on our island.
Yeah, give me something.
So if you show up, just knock on this rock. We'll know it's
just
you.
Yell real loud.
Give us the signal. Caw-caw!
Nothing complicated that only they would know. But yeah, but nonetheless, they're here now, so I guess that's cool.
Yep.
They made it. The Seraphim, Drakon's Legion, they're freaking here and ready to fight. And,
do you remember who the ships in the water are led by?
They also have humans with them.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you know who the human ships are led by?
Yeah.
It's Vasa.
Yeah.
The queen.
Vasa the queen's here. But also... the girl's dad. Archeron daddy.
He is on a ship named after Nesta.
Yeah, and there's a Feyre and a Melaine, but he picked Nesta, the one that hated him the most.
I know.
And they're all like, what? Daddy? We thought you were doing something. I mean, when he left, he said he was going to go talk to some people about the problem above the wall.
Yeah.
So he really was.
He was.
But he found Vasa, right?
Yeah.
Like, Lucian didn't get to her before he did.
Yeah,
and, like,
Lucian found them later.
Yeah. Freaking Daddy Archeron did all the work.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know.
I know.
But he's coming in with Vasa and all of her people, or maybe just her. I don't know if she comes with troops.
Yeah.
Firebird lady.
Yep.
She's wild.
Yeah, she's raining
nuts.
hell upon the ships. Hybern ships.
Destroying them.
Like,
just with her fire.
Quite literally raining
hell.
Fire.
Fire rain. No, thank you.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
But, yeah. Feyre's like, all right, guys, we really gotta go.
Yeah, for real. We gotta deal with this.
Nice talking to you, but can you put me back on the ground?
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah. Can you please set me down? Hey, we have things to do. We're just floating in the air.
Yeah, and this is where Nesta's like, y'all, use me as bait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me go rile up my power and act like I'm going to use the Cauldron's power against Hybern's army and lure him away from the Cauldron so y'all can do your thing.
Yeah. And she's like, you're coming with me, Cassian.
Yeah.
And Rhys is like, well, no, you're the friggin' commander of the army. And he's like, you got Az.
Yeah.
Even though Az is injured and should not be flying.
He's doing his thing, though.
Yeah, he's already murdering. He already went back to it.
Yeah.
So they go.
They do. They're getting closer to the Cauldron. And they see the Weaver.
Yeah.
And she, like, goes and distracts some guards while they climb. They're, like, climbing a wall or something? Rock climbing?
Feyre and Amren?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're also invisible.
Yeah, Amren's got him. Or maybe it's Feyre's got him invisible.
Know. Probably Amren. Actually, she talked about it. One of them's doing something.
Yeah.
And the other's doing the other thing.
It doesn't matter.
Nonetheless, they are glamored in some fashion, but then they look down and are just met with the Weaver's face. She's looking up at him. Her whole mouth and face is covered in blood.
Yeah.
She's like, having a great time.
Looks younger than she's ever looked.
She's gorgeous.
Because she's eating all of these
bunch of dudes. Yeah. Beautiful dark-haired woman stood there. And she's covered in all sorts of blood. Striga. Yep. So she's like, I was waiting for you guys.
Yeah.
How you going?
How you going?
Welcome.
I'm gonna go distract these guards.
I'm gonna go eat them.
You do your thing.
Don't worry about
it. So they do. They keep climbing.
Yeah.
And when something happens.
Something happens.
Feyre starts to feel the power that Nesta's rallying.
Yeah. She can feel the pull, and she can feel the cauldron above her.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as that starts happening, the king walks right past them.
Yeah, Amryn shoves her into the wall and is like,
face first.
Quiet.
Shut your fuck.
Shut your fall.
I don't know where I was going with that, but shut your mouth. He's walking by, does not notice them. And then this is crazy. But he sees the Weaver. The interaction here is nuts.
Yeah.
I can read it.
Do it.
The King of Hybern walked right past us, focused on Striga, on Nesta's distant rumble of power. The Weaver paused as she beheld who approached, smiled, blood dripping off her chin. How beautiful you are. How magnificent, ancient one. She brushed her dark hair over her slim shoulder. You may bow, King, as it was once done. The King of Hybern walked right up to her, smiled down at Striga's exquisite face, then took that face in his broad hands, faster than she could move, and snapped her neck.
Ugh.
How in the world is that possible, is my question.
Right.
The Weaver is built up to be this death god.
Right.
I wouldn't imagine a snap neck would be enough to kill her.
It's not. Someone says, Feyre, in her inner dialogue, says... she wouldn't be dead if that was all he'd done, but he threw her down a fucking cliff into some dogs and they rip her apart or something.
Yeah, you're right. It's literally right under what I just read. Yeah, yeah, you're right. So he just offs the Weaver.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
We need her to murder people.
I mean, she did. She murdered a lot of people.
She murdered a lot.
And she,
she ate them all.
She did.
Yeah.
She died beautiful.
She did. Good for her. But yeah, the king's on his way to go find Nesta. And
he winnows away. After he kills her, he winnows away.
Yeah. And so Amryn and Feyre have free, unguarded access to the cauldron.
Yep.
They get to the top and...
Amryn tells Feyre to make it count. And I think that she's talking about Nesta and Cassian basically sacrificing themselves. Everyone thinks they're gonna die.
Yeah, everyone thinks everyone's gonna die. They're all dying.
Yeah, they're all dying.
But them specifically, because the king is headed to them.
Yeah. And I'm sure that he will make their death brutal.
Oh, for sure. He doesn't seem like painful. A nice, tender guy.
No. He's a real golfer, that one.
That's right. TikTok. But then Amryn's put your hand on the cauldron. Mm-hmm. And so she does. And she can barely, keep it together. She can barely keep her foot in one world.
Cannot keep a hold on reality at all.
Doesn't know who she is.
Nope.
And Amryn just sort of, watches her for a while.
And then she kicks
and then
the book.
Throws the book away.
Yep.
And Feyre's immediate reaction is she freaking lied to me and tricked me. She's, doing something against me.
Yeah.
Which I'm why would that be your first reaction? She could have told you the truth for sure of what's going down.
Yeah, I feel hear me out.
Yeah.
In this situation, you were supposed to do this with 4 people, and Amryn was real quick to be oh, the 2 of us can do it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, shh.
Tamlin fucked Feyre up, and he was supposed to be a good guy.
Yeah.
I don't feel she was wrong in assuming that Amryn was fucking her over.
Yeah.
I would have thought the same thing, for sure.
It does seem sketchy.
Yeah.
I feel Amryn's intention behind it, because then, y'all, I guess we're talking about things in the future. But, hold on. I'm sorry. First, before that happens, before we actually find out what Amryn's doing, Feyre is gliding through the whole battle.
Yeah.
She's
as the cauldron.
She sees a lot.
She sees a lot.
She sees so much. She starts going through the battle, seeing recent fighting, and he goes into beast form, with talons and the face of a nightmare.
Yeah,
he's spooky.
Yeah,
all the High Lords are popping into beast form.
Helion is also in beast form.
Yeah,
and she explains Helion is if Rhys was the beast of the night, then Helion is the opposite. Yeah. Basically. So they
day beast.
Yes. Yeah. They complement each other, but they're not twins.
Yes. Yin yang.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But then she goes and whisks away for whatever cauldron power to Nesta. To find, her and Cassian there, and the king approaching with her father.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the plan was that, like, Cassian was going to be a distraction when the king arrived for Nesta to kill him.
Yeah.
The king.
Yeah.
And then all of her power vanishes the second she sees her father.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, shit.
Well, he's got a knife at his throat.
Yeah.
And holding him. And he knew that. And Vera's like, man, because he was, like, looking ahead into the waters before he left.
Yeah, and
she's
smiling.
Like, yeah. And so he took the dad. And all her magic drips away. And the king is just a bastard. And her dad's like, in the king's arms saying, I loved you so much, Nesta.
Yeah, I have a little quote I want to read about that. My father only gazed at my sister, ignored the monster behind him, and said to her, I loved you from the first moment I held you in my arms, and I am so sorry, Nesta. My Nesta. I'm so sorry for all of it.
Yeah. I know.
And this is so fucked up. Nesta is basically, like, begging the king not to kill her father.
I know.
He's like, what will you give me? And she's like, you can have the power back.
You can have anything. Take any of it.
And the king is like, even if I have to cut it out of you?
Yeah.
And her dumbass father says, don't you lay your filthy hands on my daughter. And then the king just snaps his neck.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so upsetting.
Yeah.
And Nesta, like, is blank. She doesn't have any reaction.
Like,
she's just like...
Yeah.
So much just happened at once.
Yeah.
Not only is she face-to-face with good old KH, but her dad just was murdered in front of her after she hadn't seen him in months.
Yeah.
If not more. But yeah, her dad's dead now.
Yep.
And Feyre's watching all this through, like,
and unable to do anything.
I know. She actually can't do anything.
Literally can't do anything.
No. And she can't even
let Rhys know what's going on.
No. She can't escape from the cauldron's grip at all. Like,
No.
she's in deep and she's seeing what it's seeing.
Yeah.
Because, like, it brought her with it. To go find its other grain of power. But...
Excuse me.
Feyre began screaming, and thrashing inside the cauldron's grip, banging it to stop it, to bring him back, to end it. She's asking the cauldron to, like, save them, to do something.
Yeah.
But then Cassie and the king start fighting.
Yeah.
And, Cass is no match for the King of Hybern.
No.
Even though he's, like, a hella powerful Illyrian warrior.
Yeah, but he's so drained.
Yeah.
I mean, they've all been battling
so
and
drained.
fucking doing all this crazy
Well, and the
stuff.
king's magic is wild.
Yeah.
He's strong as fuck.
Yeah.
He's beating the crap out of Cassian.
Yeah. And while all of this is going down, Nesta just, like, leans down and closes her father's eyes. Or maybe it's Elaine.
Elaine's not there yet. Yeah. But, yeah... Nesta does that, but starts trying to, like, gather her power again. She's calling it all back, and when she finally has it, blasts it at the king, but misses, or he jumps out of the way.
Yeah, I think he does something to block it.
He, like, blocks it immediately.
Yeah, and...
Oh, Nesta took in his broken body the pain in Cassian's eyes and angled her head. The movement was not...
Yeah, the king... I just need to add while you're reading that.
Yeah.
The king is fucking Cassian up. He, like, snapped Cassian's wings. He's breaking his legs. He's just torturing him for fun.
I know, and she's approaching, like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. But she has, an animal, predatory look in her eye, and she says, I'm going to kill you. It's like the first hint at sort of what she looked like the day she came out of the cauldron. She blasts him with the power, and he winnows away.
Yeah.
And it's all of the power all at once, is what Feyre gathers. And he's like, oh, wow, that's a good show of magic. The king is still, like, egging her on and being a jackass about it.
Yeah.
And, of course, during all of this, like, Cass now is trying to crawl to Nesta again. Like, it's very much cauldron flashbacks.
Yeah. And Nesta's, like, begging him to get up.
Yeah.
She's like, get up. Get up,
please. What can he do? He's battered.
Literally.
He's a broken man.
Been tortured.
But then she, like, lures the king closer.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Well, there's a moment here. Yeah, something happens. Oh, Nesta lays on top of Cassian to protect him?
Well,
is that what you're talking about? Are we past that? I don't know. Oh, Cassian's telling her to leave, and she won't. And there's a quote I want to read that Cassian says to Nesta while you try to figure out where the heck we're at here. Cassian says, I have no regrets in my life but this, that we did not have time, that I did not have time with you, Nesta. And he kisses her. And she doesn't even try to stop him. And then he says, I'll find you again in the next world, the next life, and we will have that time, I promise. And then she lays on him.
Yeah.
Covers his whole body.
She blasts the king with magic before that happens a second time. Like, sends him flying through the trees.
Oh, okay.
That's all I was gonna say.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, she hit him once and then, like, starts moving away from Cassian, trying to lure him away, and distracts him enough to get him close and, like, hits him with a blast of power that sends him flying through the trees.
Okay.
And then she runs over to Cassian and they have this beautiful moment. They kiss and stuff. And then she's like, well, we're dying together.
Yeah. So she lays on top of him.
Yeah.
And then freaking, freaking Feyre is begging the cauldron to save them.
Yeah.
And offers it her soul.
Yeah.
In a bargain. And then Elaine appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And what does she do, Danielle?
She freaking stabs the king right in the throat.
Right in the throat.
Elaine comes out of nowhere. Where you been, Elaine?
Where were you? Were you just hiding in the trees watching all of this?
Behind a rock, like, I'm waiting for my opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stabs him in the back of the neck.
Elaine of all people, too. Like, it could have been anybody, but Elaine?
And all she says is, don't touch my sister.
I know. I don't know if I love that line.
I don't
like,
either.
That could have been better, SJMs.
You could have said something more badass.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess it's fitting maybe for Elaine.
It's true, yeah.
But yeah.
She's just a delicate flower.
She stabs him. He's not expecting it. He's like, obviously.
No one was expecting that.
No, I mean, I forgot that it had happened.
Yeah.
But then Nesta comes, takes the knife from Elaine.
She sure does. Yep.
Starts twisting.
Yep.
And turning.
Sawing and
then hacks his head off. She beheads the king.
Him. Yeah.
Which, good for you, girl.
Absolutely. He deserved
that
it.
For you.
He absolutely deserved it.
I know. I love that.
Yeah.
But that's the last of what Feyre sees in that whole instance.
Yeah, because she then comes back to consciousness.
Well, she gets whipped through the battlefield again and sees, like, Drakon and Miriam fighting with Jurian.
Everyone's still
like,
fighting.
Looking as if they're going to battle each other instead of Hybern. Because they have some age-old beef.
Yeah.
Big beef.
Reese is still beasty.
He's beasting. All the High Lords are beasty at this point.
Yeah.
They're beasting out.
The only one we care about
Beast
is Reese.
mode, obviously.
Come on.
And
then she comes to consciousness, and Amren's slapping her.
Yeah, she's like, wake
up.
We
What are you doing?
Stuff to do. Even though, Amren, you made her touch the cauldron alone. We know how well that went last time.
So mad.
Yeah, Amren, it wasn't... She could have just talked about it, been honest with Feyre.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have worked fine. But the whole thing that Amren has planned to do is that...
She lied.
She lied. But she's going to hop on in herself and be unmade.
Yeah, she says to Feyre that she lied about the spell for control of the army and that her plan all along, the spell that she found was to unbind her. Yeah. And when she gets released, she will wipe out the army.
Yeah.
Because she's insanely powerful.
She's crazy Cloud.
Yeah.
Except she's not.
Is she... I wonder, because you just said Cloud, is she like the freaking Briaxis?
I don't know. Is Briaxis like her? She did seem to know a lot about him.
She did.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. But then, while Amren is telling her all about this, Varian appears.
I know, and he's like, don't.
He's like, baby, I love you.
Don't, baby, don't, please. No, baby, don't go.
And Amren's like, I love you, and...
She says some sweet things.
She does. She basically professes her love.
she's like, yeah, I've watched humans forever, and like love was something I was jealous of, and I think you made me feel the closest to that.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
It is very sweet.
But yeah, she's gonna go, and before she hops in, she tells Feyre, tell the High Lord to leave a cup of tea out for me. Because she's like, I don't know what's gonna happen once I hop in here, but like I'm gonna do my best and to kill and hopefully not hurt you guys.
Yeah, and she tells Feyre, do not run.
Yeah.
When I come out of that cauldron, don't run, or I'm gonna come for you.
Yeah, it'd be like hunting. But she freaking hops in.
She does.
And, like, the cauldron explodes.
It does, yeah.
With Amryn.
Yeah.
Amryn just explodes the shit out of it. It's now in pieces.
Yep, 3.
On the ground.
Specifically.
3 pieces. And she comes busting out. But she's not a cloud, Sarah. That's what I was trying to find.
Oh.
Just for a second. Because we were like, yeah, I just imagine a cloud. But no, she exploded. From the mortal shell, light blinding us, light and fire, she was roaring in victory and rage and pain, and I could have sworn I saw great burning wings, each feather a simmering ember spread wide. Could have sworn a crown of incandescent light floated just above her flaming hair. She paused. The thing that was inside Amryn paused, looked at us, at the battlefield, and all of our friends, our family still fighting on it, as if to say, I remember you. And then she was gone. So she seems to have some sort of human form with wings and flames.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But then Amryn just goes and destroys.
Yeah. All of them.
She wipes out everybody. Literally all of them.
Yep.
All of the people on ground, moves to ships, starts exploding them. But she's like running out of power, you can tell.
Yeah.
But she just kills them.
Yep.
Which is wild.
It is wild.
I guess, I mean, she was... They kept saying she was more powerful than Rhys. And
it's true, yeah. I mean, she's the most powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to come across her, that's for sure.
No, thanks. Except unless she's trapped in a high fae body, because she's pretty comical.
Yeah.
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 But then, Sarah, what happened?
But then, well, Rhys comes.
Yeah.
He's like, baby, are you okay? I love you.
What the heck happened?
No, but Feyre sees, like, where the cauldron was, there's this weird growth.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, shit, well, hey, guys, our world is bound to this cauldron, and if the cauldron's gone, then so are we.
Yeah.
So...
Which, like, would it just be a black hole and suck everything up into it?
My question is... Did no one think of this before when they were talking about destroying the cauldron? Anyone?
Yeah, I guess it was never really mentioned.
Anyone?
No, that wasn't a concern. I mean, I guess they wanted to just nullify its power.
That's true.
You know?
Okay, but Amryn is smart.
Yeah.
She would have thought of this.
You'd think.
And maybe she did.
Maybe she didn't realize that her busting out of it would destroy the cauldron.
I don't know. I don't know,
but it is like an explosion of Amryn power, so you would assume. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty big oversight, guys.
Yeah.
Come on. It's going to be a black hole and suck your world up? Like...
Yeah, really.
But then I'm like, yeah, I guess it would be.
I have a little quote. I'm
okay, do it.
It was a hole. That's all. I'm just kidding.
And we're done.
It was a hole, airless. No life could exist here. No light. It was what had existed at the beginning, before all things had exploded from it. It did not belong here. Maybe one day, when the earth had grown old and died, when the stars had vanished too, maybe then we would return to this place. Not today, not now. I was both form and nothing. Oh. Wait, what am I reading?
That might be a little bit ahead, but...
It is, yeah. I think
well,
it is.
To catch you up to Sarah's quote, unless you have a different one.
I just jumped ahead in my notes. I apologize.
No, that's okay. We're going there.
That was dumb.
Essentially, they see this hole.
Yep.
And Rhys is like, you could probably fix that.
Yep.
And I'll help you with my magic.
With my pad.
Which very much gave Ronan Aelin, just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like all they have to do is hold hands and his power flows through her.
He's just like hugging her. He's like hugging her back.
Wild.
Yeah. But anyhow, they do that. She goes and like touches the cauldron.
Touches the cauldron, and that's where that quote comes in.
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
Starts imagining it like piecing itself back together, and so it does. But she has to like keep dumping magic into it.
Mm-hmm.
And she
can feel all of Reese's magic like flowing through her,
and feel him behind her, which keeps her sort of grounded.
Yeah.
To reality. Mm-hmm. And she gets it repaired. But when she comes back to after having done so.
This was one of the moments where I sobbed the first time reading
fair.
this. Reese is freaking dead.
Reese is dead.
Are you kidding me?
And Feyre's not okay.
No, obviously. Are you kidding me?
She talks about
I'm not okay.
Like an empty void where the mating bond once was.
Yeah.
And she starts just like pouring over him and sobbing and weeping.
I just have to read this section of my notes. Feyre assumes that Rhys knew he would die to fix the cauldron. Of course he was willing to sacrifice himself to save everyone else. Of fucking course. So mad.
I mean, that was the whole shtick this entire book, basically. Of course he did it in the end.
Of course.
He definitely knew it would happen.
Yeah.
I feel like, he gave her everything. He had nothing to give.
Yeah.
None of them had anything to give.
No one had
at
power.
This point.
No.
And he just like dumped the last little morsels of his power into her and
Yep.
died about it.
Yeah.
And I'm so upset.
Me too.
But Feyre's obviously absolutely fucked up.
Not okay. No. And she starts ordering all of the other High Lords where did they come from? I don't know.
They just start winnowing in because, war's over.
War's over,
They're trying to see what's good about
and maybe they can feel the friggin' cauldron coming back together.
Yeah, but they just start coming in and...
Feyre starts ordering them to bring Rhys back like they did for her.
Yeah, Thiessen, checks him. And he's like, it's not good. We're
dead.
not going to do anything. And she's like, I don't fucking care to do it.
Yeah.
You did the same for me. Give him a little shard of your existence, of your magic.
Yeah.
And they were like, hesitant
you were human.
First. Yeah, this is
different. He is the most powerful High Lord.
But guess what?
But they do it.
They start doing it.
Who's the first one?
I was just trying to figure that out.
Tarquin. Tarquin's the first.
Tarquin does. Of course he is. He gives first, and then they each start doing it one by one. And then Tamlin is the last of them.
Well, first, Baron only gives a piece of his soul shard, whatever, because Mor holds a sword to his throat and is like, if you don't, motherfucker. And he's like, God, okay.
Shit.
Jeez.
Freaking Baron, relax.
And then Feyre has to give her a part of herself, too.
Yeah, Tamlin is the last one to do it, though. I'm sorry. He has, something. He says something about it.
Well, while you look for that, Feyre also has to give a piece of herself, and she doesn't know how. And, I think it's Callias tells her how. He's like, you just gotta imagine it.
Yeah.
And then Tamlin.
I think... Yeah, you're right. It is Feyre first. But then Tamlin comes. He stood there staring down at her and said, "Be happy, Feyre," and dropped the kernel of light into Rhys. Mm-hmm. Has Tamlin redeemed himself for you?
No. Tamlin is not redeemable to me.
Yeah, I don't like him at all still. No. He just did this because he felt like he had to.
I mean, I appreciate him. In this moment?
Yeah.
He didn't have to.
No, but everyone else did.
I mean, he could have just fucking disappeared and whatever.
Yeah.
So I appreciate him, but no, he's not redeemable
I feel
in my
like
eyes.
Even if he did that, though, he would have a lot of enemies then.
I mean, he already does.
I know, but more so. At least
and
he
I guess
came
maybe
back
he
and
doesn't now
because
he helped, and when he went back to the king, he wasn't actually betraying them. He was playing spy. But
still,
my answer stands no.
Yeah, fair. I can't with tampon.
But Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But Reese comes back.
He does.
He just wakes up from his little nappy nap. And the first thing he says is, man, if we're all here, either things went very wrong or very right. I'm like, of course.
Of course he comes back
That's
with,
what
like,
he would
humor.
say. A joke.
Joking immediately.
Yeah.
And Vivian's like, you're a whore. No, that's to Helion. Anyway, he comes back. Helion says, you do know how to make an entrance, or should I say exit? Yeah. And Vivian's like, you're horrible.
Shut up.
You idiot.
And then Reese freaking comes out with someone better fish Amryn out of the cauldron before she catches a cold.
Yeah, yeah, apparently, whenever fucking Feyre was repairing the cauldron, Amryn was just, like, swirling around. Like her being, I don't know.
Yeah.
Swirling around in the hole.
Yeah.
And so she came back, but now she's just high fae.
Yeah. Reese said he, like, saw her and reached a hand out to her to see if she wanted to come back. And she did.
And she's like, yeah, sure.
Sure, buddy. I love you.
I do. And I love Varian. But she comes back and she still has silver eyes, but she's not this, like, scary, ethereal, wild-ass lady anymore. She's just high fae.
She's just a plain old high fae.
Just a freaking lowly high fae.
Oh, poor thing.
Bitch.
Yeah, like, she came back not even as just a fae, but high fae.
I know. I know. Yeah. And so they're all back. Everyone's alive.
They are.
We didn't lose any main characters.
Well, main characters, no, I guess. But
We didn't lose
the
any
father.
of them. The father, Bone Carver.
Dad's dead. King
I
Hybern's
assume
dead.
Bryaxis died. I don't think they talked about it.
Bryaxis is not dead.
Oh.
Nope. She's still alive.
It.
You think it's a man, I think it's a woman.
Them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be a woman. We could say that.
We can just call it they. It.
Yeah. But anyhow, everyone's alive. All the
Everyone
important
is.
folks are alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I love the Surreal.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the Bone
I
Carver.
like the Bone Carver, too.
Guys, war sucks.
Yes, it does.
But anyway, they're
Give
now...
me bubble guts.
War gave you bubble guts. Fictional fantasy war.
Yep.
Fair.
I'm stressed. Reese died, okay?
I know, but he's back.
Jeez.
It was short-lived. And now they're just, like, regrouping. Figuring out what the heck.
Yeah. Feyre goes back to the clearing where her dad died, and
They have a little
funeral.
with her sisters.
Yeah.
They have
It's
a little
just them.
funeral. And doesn't Lucian show up?
Lucian does show up.
And he's like,
Feyre
he was a
was,
good
like,
man.
burning her father's body, and Lucian's like, hey guys, how's it going?
I know. I feel like everyone gave them privacy to be alone, and then like
Lucian's
nobody
just
gave
like,
Lucian the message.
Yeah.
Like don't go up there yet, buddy.
Yep.
But he just comes, and Elaine is like kind of happy to see him.
Yeah.
She like smiles.
He asks if she's okay, and she's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And she asks how he is.
I know.
I'm like, oh. But also, I love her and Asriel, so
I do too.
I am very torn.
I'm very excited to see her book.
Me too.
I have to imagine it's the next one
I know.
coming out.
There's also... I can't talk to you about it.
I know. You can talk to me after.
I can't.
Why? Oh, the spoiler you got?
Yes.
About Crescent City?
Yes.
Rude. Cancel. Okay, yeah, don't tell me. But we can read it soon. Anyway. So, Lucian and Elaine have a moment. Elaine, like, seems kind of happy. And she, like, invites him back to Valaris because... Feyre's like, what are you going to do next? And he's like, well, I'm going to stop by an old friend and
then I
don't know. And Elaine's like, well, Feyre nudges her.
Yeah.
She, like, gets her in the ribs.
Yeah.
And Elaine's like, well, you could come to Valaris.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Deal.
I just want to read this last little part of my notes because it made me giggle.
Okay.
About Lucian and Elaine. Mm-hmm. I say, they actually talk a tiny bit, which is awkward but kind of cute, ? I don't know. I kind of ship Elaine and Az, LOL.
Same. I do too. Yeah. I mean, I just love Az for her.
Too.
I love Lucian too.
I also love Lucian. And,
I don't think I'm attached to Elaine, so I...
Same.
I feel like I
want both of the boys to be happy.
Yeah.
So, like...
I just feel like Elaine's, like, weird, reclusive demeanor fits Az.
I think so, too, yeah.
more than Lucian.
Yeah.
A bit. But I guess we'll see what happens with them. But anyway, Feyre, after all of that, goes back to her tent with Reese. And Miriam and Drakon are there.
Yep.
And they're like, the infamous Feyre.
Feyre curse breaker.
They start telling each other their stories. And Miriam is beautiful. Mm-hmm. More human than Fae. She's half Fae. Mm-hmm. But they just start exchanging stories about themselves.
They do. Feyre asks them, she's like, I saw you guys fighting Jurian.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yep. And then Feyre asks if they'll take the cauldron to Cretia.
Just want to expand a little bit on what I was talking about. She asks them if Jurian's dead.
Yes.
And Drakon just says, no. That's all he says.
Nope. He's pissed. He wants him to be dead.
And Miriam says that Moore wound up convincing them to not kill him.
Yeah.
So Jurian's somewhere.
Yeah, he's around. He's afoot.
Yeah.
That's probably good.
Yeah.
He ended up pulling through.
Yeah.
In multiple ways.
He actually is like one of... I can't say that. I like him.
I like him, too.
I was going to say he's one of my favorite characters, but he's not.
No, there's a lot of faves that aren't him. But yeah, he's a decent guy. But yeah, they talk a little bit about themselves, and then Feyre's like, listen, y'all, before the High Lords start fighting over it, can you take the cauldron and hide it?
Yeah.
Since apparently nobody can find you on your freaking island.
Yeah, she's like, hey, so you know your super highly secret island? Is it still a secret?
Do you mind taking this with you? Because I don't want to deal with it. So they agree to. Mm-hmm. And then, everyone's picking up after tons of death.
Yeah.
Lots going on. But Feyre's like, I want to do something.
Yeah. I want to have a meeting.
I want to get everyone together.
Yep.
The humans, all of the High Lords, Vasa. Mm-hmm. Freaking everybody. Everybody in the hood.
Everyone.
And she decides to meet at her family's estate.
Yeah.
And everyone shows up.
They do.
Even if begrudgingly, sort of. They come.
Mm-hmm. Even Tamlin.
Uh-huh.
Which kind of surprised me.
I know. Grumpy beast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But Vasa, I think, is the last to show.
She is.
And she's like, you're Feyre.
I gotta talk to you.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
We gotta chat.
Will you break my curse breaker?
Yeah. She's like, I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Feyre's like, I don't know how.
We'll look into it.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you. Yeah, that's a lot.
I know you're super cursed, but can you give me 5 business days?
Super cursed. Yeah, we found out that Vasa, because she's, cursed to the Death Lord.
The Death Lord, yeah.
Bonecarver's brother.
Why wasn't he at the friggin' battle?
Yeah, what the hell?
Come on, Koshi.
Dude, you could have helped murder more people. You probably would have died.
You maybe could have saved your sister.
Maybe.
They're twins, aren't they?
Yeah. And they liked each other more than Bonecarver.
Yeah. Rude.
And, yeah. Anyway, what the heck was I going to say? Oh, yeah, she's chained to him, and she got, like, a day pass.
She has a leave of absence.
To come and help in the battle.
Yeah.
And she's like, maybe I can have more time while, like, I'm cleaning up my army.
Yeah, she's like, I'm healing people and saving lives. Maybe he'll give me an extra day.
Yeah, maybe I can spend a little more time. You think you can break it in that time, huh?
Loophole.
But then, everyone gets there. The human armies are there. Jurian with frickin' Grayson. Mm-hmm. Both of the human dudes are, like, avoiding people in the room. Yeah. Like, Jurian's not trying to see Miriam and Drakon, and Grayson's not trying to see Elaine.
I feel like Grayson's not trying to see anybody. He's still, like, super uncomfortable around Faye.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't know how to feel. I mean, he's hated them forever.
Yeah.
And now they have to be allies. Mm-hmm. But then Feyre sits everybody down. Well, first Nessa's about to leave. She's about to, like, not attend. And Feyre's like, what? Where are you going?
Well, she's like, will you please come with me?
Yeah, please.
Please?
Please.
And she does.
Yeah.
Nicely.
And they go in. Yeah. And Feyre's one leading the room here.
She is.
She's true high lady status.
Friggin' love her.
So I have a quote real quick.
Okay.
it's on page 687. All watching me and Nesta as we entered, as we strode to where Reese and the others waited, facing the gathered room. I tried not to cringe at the shattered furniture that had been sorted through for any possible seats, and the ripped wallpaper, the half-dangling curtains, but it was better than nothing. I suppose the same could be said of our world. Silence settled. Reese nudged me forward, a hand brushing the small of my back as I took a step past him. I lifted my chin, scanning the room, and I smiled at them, the humans and Fae assembled here in peace. My voice was clear and unwavering. My name is Feyre Archeron, and I was once human, and now I am Fae. I call both worlds my home, and I would like to discuss renegotiating the treaty. And I was like, yes, queen.
Yeah. I have just a really short quote on the next page that I want to read, just because I like it.
Okay.
It's literally the first line of the chapter.
Great.
A world divided was not a world that could thrive.
Yes.
And I really like that quote because I feel like it's very true.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
Good old humans.
I really resonated with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. But she starts leading a discussion about what the heck's gonna happen.
Yeah. She tells everyone her story.
Yeah, tells them all her story. And they're still arguing back and forth about, bad relationships and falling outs that they've had with one or the other. Fae fucked me over, mortals fucked me over. But then there's also stories of success. Miriam and Drakon share their story of having both mortals and Fae live together harmoniously. And Jurian... So they're all debating. And she's like, we're not going to settle it all today, but, I just wanted to start the conversation.
Yeah.
And as they're all headed out, Jurian comes by. And she asks him, do you think we stand a chance? And he's like, yes, I do. He's silent for a long moment.
And she's like, I don't know why, but that gave me comfort.
Yeah.
Someone feels maybe the same as she does.
We can do it.
We can do it.
And at least they have, good standings in both mortal and Fae. So even if it's just, the Night Court bargaining with humans, maybe that's better than nothing. And if the rest of the High Lords want to be dicks, they could just bring them to Valaris.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
And then they go back to Valaris. Yep. They've, things have settled down at the war camp, and they're finally ready to go home. So they do.
Yeah. Feyre sends Tamlin a note with Lucian.
Yeah.
Lucian's, gonna go stop by the Spring Court before heading back to Valaris, and she sends him a note that just says, thank you, I hope you find happiness too.
Yeah.
I'm like, hopefully this squashes their beef, man.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing about Tamlin and his tantrums.
Me too. There was actually, in the end of this book, a couple things that Elaine did that I was like, oh, I like her.
Yeah.
So there's a conversation. Amren says to Nesta, I'm surprised you didn't take the king's head back to have stuffed and hung on your wall. And then Moore says, someone consider that joke to be in bad taste, Amren. And Amren says, I saved your asses. I'm entitled to say what I want. And then she leaves. She, storms out of the house all crabby. And Elaine just says, the new Amren is even crankier than the old one. It made me laugh so hard.
I love that. And also, one other little tidbit about Elaine that I'm like, she's, growing out of her, crazy stupor of being this, fucked up sightseer.
Yeah.
Sightseer? Seer. Who is so broken about becoming Fae.
Yeah.
And she's like, this war changed her.
Yeah.
But she talks about how, the world needs more gardens. Because she asked Pharaoh what next. And she's like, well, I'm in a garden. I'm like, good for you, Elaine. You do what makes you happy.
She's cute.
Yeah. They're all back home.
They are.
And Reese is
goes to the kitchen by himself.
Yeah, he's kind of shook that everyone's alive.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected to make it home.
No.
So he's
least of all him.
Yeah.
I mean, he died.
I know, he literally died. He's just listening to everyone banter and keeps talking about Feyre's voice and just being overwhelmed.
I know. And Asriel walks in the kitchen and looks at him and just tells him it's real. You can tell that just the look on his face is in complete disbelief.
I know. I think someone had to tell Feyre that too earlier. This is real. He's back.
Yeah.
They're both just absolutely destroyed. I have chills again.
I know, me too.
And I want to cry.
Can we cry?
Can we just cry? Oh, God.
My eyes are actually watering.
I'm not trying to sob on the podcast. We held it together this long.
We did so good. Oh, man.
Oh. But it's so good. Oh. But then Reese finally joins him.
He does.
And they're all celebrating.
Oh, man.
Clearly
we love this series, y'all.
I just love them so much. Anyhow, then Reese is up on the roof later, and Fair finds him.
She does. She sits in his lap, and they just have sweet moments.
They have sweet, like, banter, as they always do.
I know.
I can't handle it. They have their sweet
Lord.
banter.
And then we cry some more.
And Fair tells him, like, never lie to me again. Not about that. She's talking about him having given all her magic knowing he was going to die.
And he's like, but about other things.
Yeah, fucking smartass. And she goes, he goes on to say, I couldn't let all you ladies take the credit for saving us. Some male had to claim a bit of glory so you don't trample us until the end of time with your bragging. Punched his arm.
And then he tells her, I have a sweet quote.
Yeah.
He tells her, I heard you, even in death, it made me look back, made me stay a little longer.
Stop! It's very much like her freaking revival.
Absolutely.
Like he was holding on to the tether of their bond before really even knowing like what it was. I guess he may have at that point, but anyways, then we learn that Bryaxis has vanished.
Yeah, see, she's not dead.
You're right.
Reese is like, by the way, Bryaxis is gone, and Favor's like, oh shit, I gotta go find her, don't I?
She's like, do we need to hunt her? And he's like, oh, you certainly do. You let her out. And she's like, okay, but will you come with me? And he's like, always.
And she says, is it a bargain?
Yeah. And they get a new tattoo.
That matches the first one.
Stop it. And then they start flying together. He flies her up into the air, but she gets her own wings, and they start flying over blocks.
I know. I really thought they were gonna do it in the sky.
Yeah, me too, for sure. I thought she was just gonna take him right then and there while he's flapping, trying to keep afloat.
Certainly would.
But they just start flying together. Sorry, guys. We didn't mean to get destroyed.
Oh, my goodness.
Then I was flying, soaring. This is the last paragraph of the book. Do you want me to read it?
Sure, yeah. So I can cry.
Yeah. Reese fell into flight beside me, and when he smiled at me again as we sailed through the stars and the lights and the sun-kissed breeze, when he showed me all the wonders of Valaris, the glittering rainbow, a living river of color beneath us, when he brushed his wing against mine just because he could, because he wanted to, and we'd have an eternity of nights to do this, to see everything together. A gift. All of it. All right, shit. Well, guys, this book was too much.
It was, this last not even 200 pages was too much.
I know. The last section really had me feeling some type of way.
I'm trying to find the paragraph about Bryaxis being missing.
Oh, it was on that page. You need me to tell you about it?
Which page? Is it in the last chapter?
Yeah, it's just right here. He says, Sweet Bryaxis has vanished. Do you know what that means? And Farrah says that I have to go hunt it down and put it back in the library. And he's like, oh, you most certainly do.
Okay, so she calls it an it?
She does.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you. I was just curious.
Just an it. Yeah, it's an it.
Oh, man.
Guys.
I can't believe I just cried on the internet.
We don't have to have the video. We are. Never mind. I was going to say we don't have to put the video anywhere, but they literally go online all the time.
Literally.
Did anyone else cry? Probably.
I hope so.
There's a lot of tears to be shed in this book.
I feel like that was a weird thing
you're
to say.
crying. I feel like this book has a lot of emotional moments, especially for a first time read.
Yeah, for sure.
But come on. Guys, we got to rate it.
When you read this book for the first time, did you cry when you thought Amren was dead?
I think I was tearful. I don't know if I sobbed. Maybe I got glossy-eyed.
I feel like I cried a little bit. I wasn't like a sob, but I feel like I was sad. I asked my mom if she cried, and she was like, no, I was so pissed.
I mean, it is kind of like a... Excuse me. She pulled one over on him out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it also saved the day, and I didn't want Amren to be dead, and we love Amren in this house.
Yeah.
Amren stands.
Yeah. Jeez. Anyways. What do you rate it?
A 5-star.
5?
This one's a 5 for me.
Okay. It's a 4.5 for me.
Yeah.
It's very, very close to a 5-star.
Okay, tell me what's up.
Well, I love it. It's great. It's just not ACMAF great.
Okay.
Maybe it is. I don't know. It made me cry. That's probably 5 stars.
I think I give it a 5 because I want to say I could do without the beginning, because Tammin pisses me off, but I also feel like that was so necessary to the story building.
Absolutely.
As much as, like, you come off like an ACMAF hangover and enter this book, and now you're back in the Supreme Court, and shit sucks, but also maybe that's intentional, like, to give you the feeling that Feyre has.
Yeah.
But I think that it is fantastic in setting up the conflict, but also bringing all of these, like, separate identities that we don't really get to know anything about until this, like, precipice. And also has the antagonist, like, you care about his presence. He's something to be feared, and, like, builds him up really well.
Yeah.
And I think, this last section alone, I think, is why I give it a 5-star, is because of everything that went down. And it was very much, like, complicated war strategy that was intertwined over one another. So many different things going on from different points.
Yeah.
And I honestly like this last 20-something chapters. It's probably why I give it a 5 stars.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it came to a good head.
Yeah. I don't know. So I gave this book 5 stars my first read.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was this time. I just had a harder time getting into it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Fair.
I might still just be, like, coming off my reading slump, and I still am in a slump. I didn't read anything last week.
Right.
Aside from podcast book. So yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't quite 5 stars for me. I can't tell you a specific reason why. I really, really, really struggled in the beginning.
Yeah.
Getting into this book.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I took a half star away.
Yeah.
So
the beginning is a hard thing to come into. I feel like it was less difficult the first time I read it.
Agreed. Yeah.
This time though,
and that's probably why I gave it 5 stars the first read through.
Yeah, I think ACMAF is so much like Roman Empire book that like getting out of it and coming back into just the shit show that is.
That is Tamlin.
Yeah. But again, I do feel like it was necessary. It's just kind of hard to get past that.
Yeah.
At least it was only like the one. We did 4 episodes for this book, and it was only one of them.
Yeah.
And it ended before even that episode, so at least it was small. But I do feel like everything that happened after that, and even that had parts that I was like, okay, this is pretty dope. Like, Granada and Dagdan, that whole situation, and it all needed to happen. Like, it was strategically necessary.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Feyre became a badass in this book, and, like, there's so much relationship building and character development across so many people, like, not just mains. Like, there's a lot. It's a deep and dense book.
Yeah.
And I think it's done well.
I feel like, I agree, 100%, it is done very well. And it's dense, but I want it to be denser. I wanted a little more from the war. The war was so short.
It was fast.
It was like 2 pages and it was over.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So I would have liked to see a little more of that also.
Yeah. That's fair. I could see that. Yeah. It was a good one.
It was very good. 4.5 stars is amazing.
Yeah,
still.
Oh,
absolutely.
For sure. Yeah. absolutely recommend.
Yeah.
What are your ratings, y'all? Let us know.
Did we miss anything super important in this last section?
Yeah, because neither of us took great notes.
No.
/ maybe we just wouldn't have caught on. What did you find important?
Yeah.
You should definitely subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to.
Yes.
Leave us a rating. We would really much. Huge. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
A comment.
If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, a thumbs up and a subscription.
Yeah.
Would be fantastic. Leave a comment telling us your rating for it.
Please.
And you can find us on all other platforms.
Socials.
TikTok, Insta, YouTube, as Books and Crannies Podcast.
Yes.
And if you want some like weirder short form, come to TikTok. It's a time.
Our TikTok is
fun.
Yeah.
We also do bookaways occasionally.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Get on board.
Come on. God.
We love you guys.
We love you.
Thanks for listening and watching.
Thank you.
And happy reading.
Happy reading. We'll see you guys next week.
Oh,
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.